I wasn't being captured on the stream. I apologize. Hello, everybody, and welcome to
It's
the stream.
definitely not a podcast if you're not getting
Yeah,
captured.
doesn't help. Doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. But hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream slash podcast, our annual podcast where we talk about the games we played in the previous year. This time, 2024. So you know me. I'm Level Story. I'm joined by the game professor Sam and Red Angel. How are you both doing this evening?
Oh, you can't see my thumbs up. I'm doing all right. Yep, doing okay. Ready for the weekend. World's falling apart, but getting by.
Yeah, you know.
Principal screaming.
Yeah, what about you, Red? I know you made like a noise, but like anything else you want to add to that?
Oh yeah, just just world's on fire. So am I. It's fine. I've dealt with worse.
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Just how it be.
Yeah, exactly. The world is in a not a great state right now, but we're all getting by, I guess. but but yeah, we're going to talk about the games we played in 2024. And I guess to start off, how would you say uh, gaming in 2024 was for you? Like when you think back to gaming, what is like the overall vibe that you look back on?
We're gonna have to specify the difference between the games that came out and the state of video games as like an industry and art form because Man 24 was different. Was very, very different
Yeah.
It
in
was,
in
wasn't
those
it?
two.
It was.
Yeah, the industry, which didn't start in 2024, it started in, well, I mean, I don't know, it's probably been ramping up to this for a while, but I feel like 2023 was the first year that was just absolutely chock full of great studios getting shut down and massive layoffs and stuff, and then that just kind of continued into 2024. The late stage capitalist video game apocalypse is just kind of ongoing, and uh, absolutely horrifically shitty year for the games industry as like a creator of interactive art in a lot of ways. But damn, there were some good games this year. Very, very good game this year, games wise, honestly. And I managed to play more of them that I wanted to play than I have the last few years. So still not all, but more. So go me. So yeah, it was nice.
What about you, Red?
Honestly, pretty much about the same. The games industry right now, like it's not. It's messy as per usual. I don't expect anything less. But I also have noticed that like the prices of games have gone up for at least the AAA side of things. The PS5 is
Yeah.
PS5ing.
Mm-hmm.
The Nintendo Switch 2 was announced. But I'm just here with my indie games and I'm like, this is fine. This is good. I like the releases from this year and then past years and what I've played this year overall. I've been playing a lot of past games because I've missed a lot. So just trying to catch up with certain things and all while playing some games from 2025. Some.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this is the year that I kind of join your perspective on that, I think, because most of the games that I really liked this year were indie games on one level or another.
Let's
Uh,
go.
like I think I'm finally, because I've been wanting for a long time to focus more on indie games, but for some reason I had trouble switching my brain into like the space of not getting physical copies of games that got big releases and stuff. And I was, invested in a lot of like big series and all that. Man, my enthusiasm for a lot of the AAA space has like using open world games as standard has really exhausted my patience for like the typical types of games that end up releasing in the AAA space. And then, this year I I a number of indie games that like I didn't play a whole lot of like really obscure indie games or anything, but a lot of my favorites this year were nonetheless indie games, and I'm at this point I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, focus on buying like more $20 to $40 indie games this next year instead of going for as many big $70 ones, because I'm having more fun with them, it seems. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even though I feel like I play like a mix of indie and AAA, but I think the way pricing has gotten, it does make me want to look at smaller games a lot more,
mhm.
and it also makes me think just a lot more of, like, if you look at my Steam library, it is huge, and I have not even played like a quarter of what I have there. It's like
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
and I know a lot of people have that issue, but I am very much aware now, like when I see a game, like I don't just buy it right away. Not that I was buying $70 games right away, but usually I'm like, I don't know, I'm a PS Plus member. This might be free at some point. Like I'm just gonna wait and put my money toward uh maybe smaller games or something, just because, yeah, uh games be expensive. But
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, 2024, I feel like, at least for me, speaking just to the games I played, I mean, I look back on it fondly. I feel like I really enjoyed most of the games that I played. Um, and, and yeah, I don't have anything specific beyond that until we like get into the, I guess, meat and potatoes of this conversation. But, but yeah, I just had a fun time, played a diverse mix of games. I'm excited to chat about them. Um, I guess, so to start off, and again, I guess just a reminder for listeners. Also, hello, Defender. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a good evening. Um, for those who don't know, again, we're talking about the games we played in 2024, and this is not limited to the games that came out in 2024. It can be any game. You know, it could have come out in that year or anytime. So, with that said, we got the big question first. What would you say is your favorite game you played in 2024?
That's hard. I have like three.
Well, that's okay.
And are we talking favorite game we played or favorite game that came out in 2024 for this question specifically? It might be the same
Well,
answer anyway, but
yeah, I was gonna say played, but I mean, if you want to specify, that's fine. Like, specify that it came out in 24. That's also
yeah, I mean,
appropriate.
I guess I feel like it's worth, specifying between the games that I liked best out of the 2024 ones,
Mm-hmm.
as well as like just the great stuff I played. Uh, but the fun thing is that is actually there are three that are like probably not quite tied. Like I could rank them if I had to, but I don't like to because I loved them very much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually, despite what I just said, two of them are from major publishers. So okay, fair enough. But uh, so one that surprised me was uh, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I am on record for enjoying this series, even though I don't enjoy like half the games in it. Um, I like Prince of Persia a lot, and I have been wanting more good Prince of Persia content for a while. The Sands of Time remake seems dead in the water, so that makes me sad. Um, at least that means we won't get a Warrior Within remake, because God, I hate that game. But still, but they came out with a side-scrolling Metroidvania, which is not as standard. Like Prince of Persia started as a side-scrolling series, but not Metroidvania at all. It was a much more simple, kind of straightforward, brief action exploration thingy. Um, and so I wasn't entirely certain about that, but I was curious about it, and it's really, really good. Like one of the better Metroidvanias I've played ever. It's not quite Hollow Knight, but nothing's Hollow Knight.
Well, yeah, yeah.
It's just really, really good. The art direction's fantastic. I found the story more engaging than I was expecting. They actually also went like, because one of the, like I said, I love the series. It has a problem. It historically it has had a problem of not actually involving anyone from Iran or from that area like at all. The voice actors have always been just, white people, which again, Yuri Lowenthal did a great job, like it's good, but this is actually like the voice actors are Iranian, the music composers are Iranian, the um the game even has an option to play it entirely with all the dialogue being in Farsi with English subtitles, and I
Oh,
think that's really fucking cool. I love that. I always forget, can we swear in these?
yes, you
And
can
then I
swear.
always ask after I do it, and it comes to my mind like, oh no.
No, 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 you're good.
um, yeah, just really cool. So whenever I replay it sometime in the future, I'm gonna do that for sure because I didn't know that option was there when I played it the first time. But yeah, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was really good, and then it didn't make Ubisoft millions and millions and millions of dollars, so they're probably not going to do anything more with it. I'm sure the team already probably got laid off or something. So that's disappointing. But it was good, and I wish more people played it. Uh, the other, the indie one that I really really liked that I was expecting to enjoy, but I didn't expect to be one of my favorites was another Crab's Treasure.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's so good. I did like what if a Souls like was cute under the sea and had started crab is like a solid enough pitch. As long as you do a decent job at that, even just that basic concept is enough to make for an interesting experience, right? I didn't expect it to be not only a really good Souls like that has a lot of sort of unique things going for it, even from a gameplay perspective, but also to have a very, very political story. uh like it essentially takes the Dark Soulsy concept of like you're exploring a world that has ended and it's going to be up to you to decide what to do with it, like whether to keep it going the way it is or let it die and start something new, that sort of thing, except that instead of a dead fantasy world, it's the ocean as it's filling with garbage and just goes on, which honestly is like a really, I think that's a really clever way to take that concept into this setting. And then it just goes from there to just explicitly be about fighting back against corporate greed, while the society itself is like they're using microplastics as money, like they're embracing this and just moving forward with it, and you're trying to do what you can to sort of stave that off, even though that's not actually what the main character wants. He's just a little crab who got into it and doesn't want, like, it deals a lot with not just the overall politics of it, but like the personal toll that being in that kind of situation takes on someone, and the sort of like ethics and the role that our own feelings and difficulties and anger has to play in it, like just surprisingly good. And I loved it. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, but I absolutely did. Another Crab's Treasure was fantastic. um and then the third. Mhm.
That came out last year,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. And then the third one that came out last year that I loved, which would probably, if I was pressed, be my game of the year, was Metaphor Fantasio.
Defender
Uh,
mentioned that in the chat as well. I think it's gonna be a lot of people's favorites. I feel like.
yeah. Wait, where is the chat? Where are we streaming this? I forget. I
On
want to look at it.
Twitch.
Oh, just on Twitch. Okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool, cool. I'll look that up. But anyway, yeah. Metaphor Fantasio, medieval fantasy Persona, is pretty much just all that it is. It is like it is a Persona game in all but name. The whole setup is very, very familiar to anyone who's played Persona 5 in particular, like the more recent entries in the series. Um, and it's really good. Like, it's not technically a Persona game, but it is in all but name, and accepting it into that fold, it might be my favorite Persona game. 4 is still really close, but like, yeah, Metaphor Fantasio is shockingly good. The characters are fantastic. The story's fantastic. The music is incredible. The It's another one that's very political. And at first, I was actually like, I don't know. Like, it's going places, and I don't know that I trust where those places are going. We'll see. And there are a couple missteps here and there, but for the most part, it is very, very good at allowing things to be complicated, but still keeping from taking any easy answers out. I was kind of expecting a lot of the, easy things that a lot of movies and such do, like the good guy, the bad guys are right, they're totally right, but they murdered someone now, so you have to get them anyway, even though they're right about everything, that kind of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And like it just did a really good job staying away from those kinds of easy outs and answers, and instead actually engaging with what was happening and allowing that to move the story forward. I was impressed and I enjoyed it a whole lot, and I love that cast of misfits. I do wish that it had romance, just because I like that in video games, and most Persona games do, and I like these characters a lot, and I wish I could have done that. But you know, if they had it, I would be complaining that it's not, that they don't allow polyamory. So I guess it's, either way. It was still really good. So yeah, like just Metaphori Fantasio, also fantastic. Those three were definitely the three games from this year that I loved the most. But there's a lot of other interesting stuff that came out this year, and just that I played. Oh no, wait, sorry, shit. There's one more.
Okay.
The problem is I haven't finished it yet.
That's okay.
But there is no possible way Thousand Times Resist is not going to be on my Game of the Year list for 2024. It is amazing, and especially for me as like, an ex-evangelical religious trauma child. It's basically a story about like a cult of female clones after the apocalypse, and your character sort of finding out more about the actual like history and reality of this situation, and being expected to continue being part of it, but gaining doubts over time. And it's really good. It is really good. It's essentially just like a narrative exploration game. You walk around and talk to people, and that's pretty much all you do. And it is some of the best sci-fi I've ever experienced, even without having finished it yet. It's so good. It would have to do something like real ridiculously terrible at the end to not end up on my Game of the Year shortlist. So yeah, Thousand Times Resist, also incredible. Looking forward to finishing it. Yeah. Sorry, I took a while for that. So
No, you're
how
all
about you
good.
two?
all good choices, honestly. I need to play all of those. I'm hearing you talk about them makes me sad that I haven't played them yet. But hopefully this year I'll probably get to maybe two of them. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. What about you, Red?
Okay, if I'm going with AAA games, if a gun to my head, I guess. Honestly, Princess Peach Showtime?
Yeah.
I meant to play that at some point.
I
So
had
yeah, how
so
was it?
much I had so much fun. Listen, my boyfriend got it for me for my birthday. It's so much fun because there's also like a lot of history in a lot of her transformation sequences. There's a lot of references in each of her outfits. It's also a big commentary on women. I forgot kageki something. It's like a specific type of Japanese theater that primarily features women in all of the roles. And I'm kind of working on a big old video for that, but it's kind of in the works. But I really enjoyed myself. The only problem I even had with the game was I went, this is too short. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is actually way too short. I would have had
Interesting.
more fun if this was more. I would download extra content for this. I don't care. This was a lot of fun, and it was probably some of the most fun I had in terms of gaming because it was fun and platformy, and yes, it was easy, but I don't really care. I was here to have Princess Peach in fun outfits, and it worked.
It
Yeah.
it sounds nice and it looks cool. And honestly, I've heard people quote unquote critique it for being easy, and I just don't think that's a
It's
critique
not a
here. Like,
Listen, I'm here
No.
for fun.
right.
I am here for fun. I'm here to watch Princess Peach suddenly be like, "Oh, I guess I'm a detective now. I guess I'm Conan Conan the detective." Ooh. Like she just does all these cool things and she just has fun. And I feel like whoever made this, whoever was on the team was just like, we need to make up for whatever Super Princess Peach was. Let's go all in on all the references.
Hell yeah. I really want to play this, so I'm glad to hear that you really liked it. Uh, I
Fun. I mean, if the one criticism I have is I wish there was more should be kind of telling.
right.
Yeah. That's always a good sign.
Though I will say that I don't like the ice skating parts. They just I hated the ice skating parts.
Oh no.
I was not good at them. I was just bad at the ice skating parts. You might be better at the ice skating parts, but if I could have less of the ice skating parts, that'd be great. Ninja Peach was wild though. I just saw that pop up on the screen and I went, and so Ninja Peach was a lot of like inner tiny mechanics and just it just worked for what it was.
Mhm.
And there was so much involved into it, and I really would recommend it in just in sheer terms of this takes you through so much of like not only like Peach's history but like theater history in Japan and like even movie and film history, and it's just so interesting and you just have fun while playing it.
I see. This is kind of what I was talking about, where I said like I wasn't buying like AAA games, and this is one of them. But I do have a gift card to GameStop, and I might just go and buy it tomorrow because
If it like honestly buy it used, it's like
oh, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
could probably buy it used. You could also buy it new. Like there's no like I don't know. I'm trying to remember if there's a reversible cover. I don't think there is. But
Mm.
lots of cool fun Princess Peach fun. Just nice that she has her own game now.
Hell yeah, agreed. Very excited to check this out. Also, hello
Oh,
Zane. I think that's a friend of
hey
yours,
Zane.
Red. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Hey
remember
Zane.
from last year.
Ah.
um, but yeah, any other games that topped your list this year?
Okay, so I'm just reviewing my Steam this is what you played last, and like if I'm going by that, it's also Bug Fables.
Okay.
I also started playing that. I'm not too far in it
Yeah.
though.
I am almost done. I am at the very end,
Okay.
and it's so much fun. I did not know it came out in 2019. I thought it came out in 2020. I don't know why, but I just genuinely thought it came out in 2020. But it is very like Paper Mario esque. I was planning on playing it to like kind of give myself a break from Thousand Year Door for a hot minute because I always take a break right before the big train level because the train level is always just a lot of brain commitment on that one.
It's funny to me
But
that you took a break from Paper Mario Thousand Year Door to play another full length RPG heavily inspired by Paper Mario the
yep,
Thousand Year Door.
yep, 100%. Because I knew this was going to be different enough that I would be at least interested in it and just
Hmm.
it would keep my attention. But after that, I was like, I need to take a break from other papers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the combat system is really interesting. Each of the characters plays differently. There's like all of the boss fights are really like just really unique in how they execute it. Not unique as to Paper Mario because if you play Paper Mario, you've played this. But I like that each of the characters had their own move set and that you got to have them the almost the entire time.
Hmm.
And it's God, how many hours did I play of this? Hold on, Steam, tell me. Oh yeah, okay, about 19 hours. That'll do it. Actually, nope, that's over. No, that's more than 19 hours. That's way more. Okay.
I was
So,
gonna say I'm surprised it's that few actually.
right.
hold on, let me just check about how many hours. They usually
Mine's gonna
tell you.
be
Oh, 47 hours. I'm sorry.
okay. That's more
That checks
believable.
out.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I was like I think 19 hours is like the last amount from the last month that I had played it in, but it's it does not have a I first off I wish the plushes were still on sale. I would 100% buy them.
Oh God, yeah. I also would. That would be great.
But
Yeah, I
like
actually finally played it specifically because I was looking for we put I work in an after school program with grade schoolers and we put we built computers with them and then have those computers in there and they've got a lot of creative programs for making things on there but also some games that I think are like constructive, have good stories, interesting stuff going on, and I was thinking Bug Fables might be a good fit to put on there on days that they can play games on them, and yeah, it is, it's really good.
it's like yeah, the only I this is the only fault I have with it, and this is just a very minor nitpick. It is not a terribly long RPG. You you just gotta grind a bit as per usual in a Paper Mario esque game. It's not like oh it's like Final Fantasy. It's not. You don't have to be like this is not a Final Fantasy X situation where it's like time to grind for 40 years, but
Still got to get to 10. One day. One day.
you really got to get to 10.
Oh,
I
you
s-
really do.
I say only playing like one third of the way into 7 before losing interest.
I've played many Final Fantasy games, and I also say yes. I would be thrilled to hear your opinion on 10.
Oh,
I need this to happen. Also 6, but honestly, between those two, probably even more 10.
yeah.
I yeah.
I'd like to see 6 get the Final Fantasy 7 big boy remake
Oh God, it would be
treatment.
so good.
Agreed. I even though I
It'd be
haven't
so
played 6
good.
yet, I would love to see like that happen for other Final Fantasy games, which I've seen like a
Yeah.
few articles about like in the past few weeks and like all right, can there be a hint of truth in here? Are we going to get something? Cuz I think that'd be fun. I
Z-
am Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Whoa. No, sorry, I just saw the Final Fantasy grinding killed Final Fantasy X for me. Zane, I was sitting on the couch with someone and I just passed the controller to him and I went, I need you to do this for me.
Yeah, I get it. It didn't like kill it for me because I did actually want a bunch of like special weapons and stuff, but like dodging 200 lightning bolts was painful, and I do think that it's one of the worst examples of like I hate the way that these games are often structured such that the world opens up right as the story is ramping up to the conclusion, because I was running around doing random shit in Final Fantasy X for like 30 hours while the final boss just lingered in the skies above me, and I'm like, man, I was really hyped for that, and now I'm just like that was 30 hours ago. I'm kind of removed from all of that narrative hype now, and it's a whole again, I love Final Fantasy X, but you know.
And 10 does have one of the more disappointing final boss fights.
Honestly, it's been so long. I don't even. I remember the final scene and all of my crying. I don't remember the boss
No,
fight itself.
the final scene is very satisfying, but the final boss fight, that's the one where I'm like
I mean, I will say like in terms of grinding, like I've said it before, I'm not a huge I'm not a huge fan of turn-based games all the time. Like I enjoy them fine enough, and I'm getting more, I guess, acquainted with them and like having a better time with them. But just I struggle, and that is my biggest fear with 10 and other Final Fantasies is am I going to get bored with the grind and not want to do it? Because like in like an action RPG like Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy 7 remake, you know, I enjoy the grinding in that, but turn
and you're
based,
constantly moving, but turn based is
right?
you're at a standstill.
Yeah, and you know,
I get
Yeah.
it.
yeah, and again, I'm becoming more, like I'm playing more turn based games, so just naturally I'm becoming like more okay with doing that, but it's still a bit of a struggle. So you know,
Yeah, no, I get that. In Final Fantasy 8 is yeah, you know, I'll give it. I'll give Final Fantasy 8 that.
I haven't played
Eight's
8.
one of the
I,
eight's one of the big ones I have not played either, and I need to fix that.
uh 8
But
has so many good things in it, but it is absolutely held back by the things that aren't. Zane, you're
yeah,
100% right. I have played a good chunk of 8 and it's so good in spots and so stupid in spots that it makes me upset.
Oh no.
yeah. See, that's
Like it's not like
interesting though.
7 where I lost my interest though. Like 7
Hmm.
lost my interest. 8 I was like really into, but then I the gameplay was holding me back on a couple of spots where I was going, mm.
Yeah.
Would you ever play? Have you played 7 remake at all, Red?
No, but I have a feeling I would like it more, but I am starting to realize that it might I'm wondering if I haven't played the new remake because it is under the effect in my brain of people getting onto me for not playing the original Persona 3 but playing Persona 3 Portable as the girl character, which is the superior way to play and no one can tell me otherwise.
I haven't even played, and I agree with you.
Yeah, just the narrative completely changes for a lot of side characters and makes them better for no
Interesting.
reason. Except it does add a weird. weird romance that does not need to be there.
Oh, interesting.
It's
Okay.
not a Persona game without at least one of those, right? Like,
I guess so.
Oh, just they didn't need to do that. They could have just made it like a crush. It didn't need to be. They're like, oh, you could pursue this. It's like, I want to know who, so we could put them on a list. Just you. I don't think I did any romances in Persona 3 now that I think about it.
Oh,
Oh
interesting.
gosh, I didn't. Like cuz I played it through last year and I didn't do any full romance arc. I did like a full like friendship-ish arc,
Okay.
but that honestly is better. It's almost better that way.
Okay.
yeah.
I would argue that at least in Persona 3 because that I did not get any attached to that many characters to have a romance and like I'm more of the brosif. It's like, "Bro, let's go beat stuff up." And I cannot see the female MC in Persona 3 as someone to romance anyone. She just gives the vibes of like she's like, "Hello, fellow youths." I'm like, "All right, yeah, that's the vibe I get." It's also the dead-eyed stare that the protagonist has. Just she has a very dead-eyed stare while the other one has a very depressed stare. So,
Right now, I need to play Persona 3.
Yeah, I've got the recent remake sitting on my shelf for when I'm done with other long ass games, so I can start other long ass games. There are too many long ass games I want to play, and I love long ass games, but
Right?
there's too many of them, and I don't have time for all of them.
That's a mood.
no, that's a mood. God, that's a
I
mood.
still need to play the new. I also have a uh, Like a Dragon Yakuza 7 on there because I played 0 through 6, and I love that series so damn much, and I haven't played any of the new ones just because long stuff. I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it be like that sometimes. I feel that very deep
Which
in
is
my
also the
soul.
reason I won't be talking about Infinite Wealth here because I'm not caught up. So that's yeah.
I I will one day play a Yakuza game. One day.
Me too.
They're so good. I feel like they would be up Danielle's alley. I'm not sure for you, Red, but I feel like they would be up yours too. They're
Depends on the
very
day.
yeah, fair enough. It really is basically just what if we wrote a hard boiled crime story and then put as the protagonist the most wholesome little bean into it and then had a bunch of jokey joke side content. It's
Alright,
really good.
maybe I should just finish Sleeping Dogs finally, and then maybe I'll play a Yakuza game because I need to finish Sleeping Dogs.
I've heard good things about that one. I heard a lot of middling things when it originally came out, and then around the time the remake came out, everyone was a remaster or whatever.
Sleeping
Everyone was
Dogs is
saying,
really solid. I was one of those I was one of those people that liked the True Crime Streets of LA series more so than
mm.
GTA back when the
Oh.
GameCube was around. So I was really excited about Sleeping Dogs, and then I didn't have a console for it, and I went, well, poo. And then
Oh.
now I have a console for it, and I go, woohoo! So that's it. Also, 100% FemMC is the best way to experience Persona 3. I agree with you, Zane, on that one. And please, Atlas, can you please release a DLC for FemMC on the new Persona 3 remake?
Yeah,
I beg.
that
I beg.
that makes me
Yeah, I was
sad.
surprised they didn't include
There,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you had an
everyone.
opportunity to just make one definitive version of your game that brings all the versions together and just didn't. Like that's
Right.
odd to me.
I'm mostly here for like, but you can make money, Atlas. You love money.
Right.
Yeah.
I
They're
mean,
like, no, we need
yeah.
to make another dancing game. Everybody's got to dance.
There you go. Yep.
Everybody got to dance.
Well, they already did that for 3, 4, and 5, so I guess next we got Metaphor Fantasio dancing game in which you just play the battle theme over and over and over again because it's a bop.
That's just okay. Yeah, that's just pretty much what's gonna happen. You know it is.
Yep.
Yeah, eventually.
Because
Yeah.
they can't release like the Q versions like they did with Persona 3 and 4.
Right.
Yeah, I really do need to play Persona 3 and 4 because I've only played 5 and 3 is one of those games where when like they did like the newest version I was like, "Oh, yes, I can't wait to play like the definitive version." And I was like, "Oh, no female protagonist. Boo. I don't want to do that anymore." So like,
You know?
I'm kind of sad about that. But I think I did get a bundle with 3 and 4 before like the newest version came out. So I guess I could play that. But who has time? Who has the time for these things? Like,
Yeah, I got a limited run physical Switch versions of both 3 portable and 4 golden
mm,
uh, before they announced the 3 remake. Which, part of me thinks maybe I should have just waited for that, but the rest of me thinks no, having a physical version of 3 portable on the Switch is great, and I'm
that's true.
happy about it. So,
Yeah, it's a good point.
and I still haven't played 3 myself. I need to do that, but I love 4. 4 was my first one, and I love it very much.
One day I'll get to it. But yes, Red, any other games?
Off the top of my head, I'm not gonna list everything right
Mm-hmm.
now because we'll be
Right.
here all night. But
Yes.
nothing else off the top of my head. Well, nope, nothing else off the top of my head. I'll get to it later.
Okay, cool. Um, so I guess for me, I'm trying to think of the order to go about this. One of the games that I played this year for the first time was Greece,
Ooh, that's a good one.
and I really really loved it.
That being GRIS, the very pretty side-scrolling game, not a video game adaptation of the classic 50s musical Grease.
Actually, that is good to say. Yes,
There is actually a Wii game based on Grease.
really.
Oh God, I don't own that, do I?
Oh,
No.
please tell me you
Please
own
tell me
it.
you do. Please tell me you do.
I saw it used somewhere, and I feel like I probably bought it. It's not on my shelf, but it might be in like a box with games that I don't feel the need to display or something. I never played it. Anyway, sorry, you keep talking. I'll search.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I played this for the first time, and it's I guess I'll say like short and sweet game. Like I think it took me about 4 hours to beat. Um, and it's one of those games that you play it and it's like, oh right, like you're reminded that video games are art. Not that you needed to be reminded, but still. Um, it is a game that is portraying, I guess, the experience of grief, and it is just. I don't want to say. I'm like being careful about what I say here because I think a lot of it works so well if you just go in not really knowing what to expect. Um, but I guess I'll say like just this game's use of color to tell a story is brilliant. The music is incredible. And it's just like, it was a fun game to play. It was just, even though it makes you feel like the feels, it also was kind of like a cozy game. It was nice to play. It was a nice little break, I guess, from all the long games that I've been playing. So I really enjoyed it. And I think, yeah, definitely top tier when it comes to like uh, games as literature, dare I say. Just because it feels very literary in its execution. Um,
It really does, yeah.
yeah. Have either of you played? Well, I know you have, Sam, but I don't know if Red's played it.
Play what? The Grease game?
Yeah.
You just talked? Oh, is it pronounced Grease or is it pronounced Gris?
So it is pronounced
I'm not sure.
Grease, because it's gray in Spanish. I think they like. I always pronounced it Gris until I started watching speed runs of it and was promptly corrected.
Well,
So yeah.
well, I didn't know that, so egg on my face.
Fun fact. uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I don't know what year it came out though. I'm checking.
It's been a number of years at this point, one way or another.
2017, maybe?
Yeah, let's see. Close.
Something like
2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I finally got to it. I'm really glad. I enjoyed it immensely. Another game, and this was a replay this year, was I like hesitate to say it just because of the reputation this game has, but I'm gonna say The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh, sure.
Yes, I replayed this game in 2024 to prep for the upcoming season of the show, which is premiering April 13th, by the way, in case anybody didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I realized that was announced. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna brace myself for that.
Oh yeah, me too. um, but yeah, like when I first played The Last of Us Part Two, like my opinion of it was good, but I was hung up on like a few things, and of course, nobody could escape just the conversation around the game. So like it just, I'd say like was a bit messy when I first played it, but replaying it, having some distance, was very, I guess, cathartic in a way. Like being able to experience it without having just the conversation surrounding this game just in my head all the time, being able to just experience the story at pretty fresh. Like I hadn't played it since it came out in 2020, so like I didn't remember a lot of it, apart from obviously the big moments, which I won't say anything because I'm pretty sure you haven't played it yet, right, Red?
I mean, there's a chance I probably won't, but
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I still won't say spoilers, but
fair enough.
but I think for me, it was just a lot more emotional this time around playing it. Um, Multiple scenes like made me not just cry but like weep, like when I was playing it and like watching cutscenes, and I felt much more attached to like Ellie as a character and watching like her, just like understanding her psychology throughout the game. And this was the first time where, as I was playing it, obviously like in these games there's a lot of violence, but it occurred to me that like Ellie is 18 years old and doing these horrific things, and like just understanding like how damaging that was and how the game understands that. Like I just didn't think about that when I first played through this game, and it gave me like more of appreciation of it, and just everything else I want to say is spoilery, so I'll stop there. But I just really enjoyed it on a second playthrough, and it definitely connected with me a lot more than when I first played it. And dare I say, I feel I love it as much as the first one now, just in a different way. Like I wouldn't say it's better, but I love it just the same. Um, so yeah, I really enjoyed The Last of Us Part Two. Playing that again.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And the last one I want to mention is the DLC for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree.
I forgot that came out this year too. Sheesh.
I know.
Yep.
Yeah. Elden Ring DLC came out this year. In case anybody didn't know that, because I guess that was shadow dropped or something. But excuse me, I just keep feeling I have to cough, and I'm like trying to contain myself. But anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what to say about this one other than I love Elden Ring, and I loved this DLC. I loved the art direction of it. I loved the new enemy designs. I loved the world. I thought the bosses were great. That final boss was rough, but great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, just continuing to build on Elden Ring lore and what the original game had set up. Just yeah, it was funny how like Elden Ring is massive, so you kind of wonder what can they possibly do from here. And they essentially made a DLC that is like what some people called an Elden Ring 2. I'm not sure it's big enough to be that, but I think
Yeah, it's not nearly as big as the game itself, but it is. Yeah, it's big.
it's big, and it could definitely be its own game. It's incredible what they did, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I know. What were your thoughts on it, Sam?
Uh, Agreeing mostly. I really liked. I mean, like all the stuff you said is true, but I think what stood out to me, surprise, surprise, knowing me, was the narrative direction for it was really cool. Like, I, I mean, I even referenced what most, you know, uh, FromSoft games are earlier in terms of like they're all pretty great. I love all the ones that I've played to one degree or another. They are all very very similar in terms of the like the basic narrative concept. They are almost all about whether you let the old world die or keep it going. And Elden Ring was no exception, but the DLC, like I don't want to say too many spoilers or whatever, but like basically presents this scenario where there are a bunch of people following this one particular vision, and then they get cut off from it early on, and it starts being about kind of what each of these people do when their singular united vision is no longer uniting them. And it's really interesting. That I think that's a cool way to tell a bit more of a character centric story with the Souls like storytelling formula, which is a very popular formula for good reason, but also one that I don't love quite as much as everyone else seems to. Um, so yeah, it was good. It was interesting. It was hard as hell. I still really enjoyed the process of seeing the reviews come out and say like this game's really hard, and the usual suspects come out being like, "Oh, game journos just they're so bad at games. They should have made a game journalist mode." And then it comes out and everyone's like, "Oh shit, this game's really hard."
Right.
Uh,
It was
it
so
turns
hard.
out, yeah, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, even by from soft standards, just really really hard game. So it's just always fun seeing that particular uh, group of gamers get their some comeuppance, I guess. But uh, yeah, no, it was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm pretty sure didn't this game like get review bombed in the beginning by people saying like it was too hard on Steam?
Yeah,
Like people who usually say like just defend it like for being hard and like oh just get good, and they're like this game is way too hard.
mm-hmm.
I'm like all right,
Yep.
but yeah, I think agreed about the story or the lore and the narrative in this game. It's interesting how they handle that mechanically too, like the moment when that kind of changes in the world. I, I'm like trying to like dance around saying spoilery things here and not doing a good job, but um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I already went a little further than I usually do with that basic concept, but
I mean, it's
yeah,
still honestly with FromSoft, you having a framework sometimes can be good just because, you know, they're narratively uh, scarce or not narratively scarce.
yeah,
Just
they're somehow
yeah,
simultaneously narratively like dense and
yes,
also man, yeah, no, I'm having trouble coming up with the words too.
Mhm.
You gotta search for it, like dense but hidden. You have to really like put effort into putting the pieces together to understand what the hell's going on in the FromSoft game for the most part. There are
yeah.
exceptions to that, but they are Sekiro. So, um,
I
you
mean,
know,
From Software is more of a like environmental storytelling is peak
yeah.
kind
Yes.
of group than anything else. I mean, even in their earlier games like the Lost Kingdom series, which was theirs,
Mm.
Mm,
they even though they had like a narrative, it
yeah.
also was a lot of like you had to read the lore stuff around the world because otherwise you're just like why do these random girls have this giant rock on their back and they can throw cards and make them go boom boom.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, I think Dan Floyd, I think had said about FromSoft games. I think what he said was they're kind of like narrative archaeology,
Yeah,
which I
That's a good
love.
way to put it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
or maybe
Yeah.
narrative anthropology at this point.
I feel like
Yeah.
both honestly, and in their own
Yeah,
way. Um, yeah, that which and like I can't claim that every time I play a FromSoft game, like I don't walk away understanding the lore, but also like I don't know, like I kind of like that I don't understand it. I like that I can uncover stuff when I play it, and when I do and I understand it more deeply, it's so rewarding to me. For me personally.
Yeah. it's basically just a whole game of that moment in the original Star Wars when Obi-Wan mentioned the Clone Wars and everyone was like, "Oh, what's that?" But that's just the whole thing. It's just people
Yeah,
mentioning a
yeah,
bunch of stuff that you're like, "What is that? Ooh, that's interesting." And if you're determined enough, you can put it together and figure it out.
yeah.
But your
Yeah,
average person, including myself, like is not. I put together what I can from what I experience, and then I look up videos from people who actually spend hundreds of hours playing these things and figuring it all out.
right, right. Yeah, I was gonna say most FromSoft games are uh, like the aftermath, and you have to figure out like what happened before, and
Yeah,
you know,
which is fun because like it's weird how that storytelling structure is not new to video games. Like it's very similar to what older games like Fatal Frame or even like BioShock did, where you're piecing together the backstory from audio logs or whatever. Like functionally, it's not that different from that, but they I'm sure that one could make like a video or write an essay on exactly what the differences are there or whatever. If anything, I might compare it more to Metroid Prime in how
oh,
like scattered and
oh,
small the narrative bits are that you can put together. But anyway, just yeah, it's fun because it's not like Demon Souls was the first game to do that, but FromSoft definitely did it in a specific way that struck people in a way that a lot of other games having done it in the past didn't, really, not that it was better, but different in a way that struck people different.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think those are all of my personal favorites. I don't think I missed any. Um, so we've been talking for like almost an hour. I think
Yep.
it could be a good idea to just kind of just talk about games in general, not necessarily our favorites, but ones we enjoyed, ones we thought were just okay. Um, are there any games that either of you want to just mention or talk about that weren't your favorites?
I can quick fire shout some more out.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Um, okay, so Helldivers 2, fun as hell.
Hmm.
Absolutely love playing Helldivers 2 with friends. It's great. Uh, I was a fan of the original and was sad that it didn't get popular enough and I never had people to play it with, so I'm very, very happy that the second one turned out so good and so many people are playing it and I can play it with friends because it's great. Uh, Animal Well,
Hmm.
that was a weird surprise.
Yeah.
Huh.
Uh, I still remember when Video Game Donkey was like, "Oh, we're making a publisher and we'll just publish good games," and everyone's like it's that easy, huh? Okay, sure, go for it, whatever. And then the first game that publisher puts out is this like, man, talk about like kind of that Souls-like structure of being very light on information but dense with it if you can figure it out because Animal Well is shocking that way. It's extremely minimalistic, but it has a lot going on if you're willing to really dig in and explore. And frankly, more so than I am willing to, right? Like I played it through once and you're kind of supposed to do like a couple sort of replays with different additions each time that really like make it make more sense and stuff. I don't have the time and patience for that, but I really enjoyed what it was anyway, and yeah, um, and either of you can interrupt me if you played any of these and want to talk about them too. By the way,
Mm.
um, Balatro, game's addicting as hell. I, like it's not the kind of game that gets into my kind of game of the year discussions, right? It's just a very, very tightly designed and very mechanically unique, like card, like poker roguelike kind of thing. And yeah, it's extremely good. It many sleepless nights from that game for sure.
I need to
Um,
play that. Like that. I feel like that just came out of nowhere, for me at
it
least.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
Um, also, the new expansion for Final Fantasy 14 came out this year, Dawn Trail. I have somewhat mixed feelings about it, but overall positive. The story did some interesting things, but had a lot of shortcomings in how they did them. Gameplay wise, I'd say far and away the best expansion yet in terms of like the boss design and stuff like that. The actual like dungeons and trials and raids and such in Dawn Trail are top tier. Um, and we'll see how things continue to develop over the course of the patches and stuff. But I have hope because I enjoyed what the base game had going enough that I would like to see it follow through on some of that a little more, which it's already kind of started to. So this, yeah, I love Final Fantasy 14. I don't know, like we'll see if anything can measure up to like Shadowbringers and Endwalker, right? Like it's gotten to such highs already, and I didn't really expect On Trail to reach those same highs because it's basically starting a whole new story arc. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, that one I know you played, Danielle. Also, do you want to
Yes.
talk about it or?
Yeah, I'll say a few things. I think I would agree with you. I think like gameplay wise, definitely like just extremely strong. Uh, I enjoyed, well, like Sam and I play 14 a lot together, and like I will sometimes struggle with gameplay elements, and this one I found myself just I still struggled, but like I also had just a ton of fun with some of them, especially like the single player ones. Where you like play as like different characters. I don't want to be too specific here, but
Mm.
I enjoyed those a lot. And yeah, I will say the story, yeah, it wasn't my. I didn't. I enjoyed it fine enough, but yeah, like you said, Sam, like you have Endwalker and Shadowbringers, uh, Heaven's Word and Stormblood too. Like I think Dawn Trail is the weakest story for me personally, and I'm even saying that with A Realm Reborn, even though like for that's a whole conversation, but um, it was just definitely a weak expansion for me in terms of narrative. But I still enjoyed it a lot, and I am, I love 14, so I'm very interested to see what they do with the patch content. Even though I have not played it yet, I need to get to that. You know, yeah, but yeah, I love 14, so of course was excited to play Dawn Trail because I will say too, this is my first current expansion, so
Yeah.
it was exciting. I didn't have to deal with you know, the Endwalker fiascos that happened where they had to like keep people from downloading the game and stuff like that.
Right.
Didn't have to deal with that, thankfully. But I mean, to be honest, I didn't really deal with any issues logging into the game, not that I can think of.
Yeah,
So
the server we're on wasn't too bad for that, and they did do some preemptive work. Like when the expansion first released, people couldn't. I think they made it so people couldn't start new accounts, and free trial users couldn't log in for the first couple weeks or month or so.
yeah,
So they were kind of all over it. Plus, they had spent the time since Endwalker upgrading their servers and such. So
right,
yeah,
yeah, they learned their lesson.
yep.
So okay, I'm gonna do the evangelizing thing right now. Hey, Red.
Absolutely, absolutely not.
What?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We've done it every
Respect,
previous year, and it's gonna
respectfully,
keep going.
respectfully, not gonna do it. Respectfully, hand on God, no.
Oh wait, no,
I
I thought you were considering it last year.
no, I was considering it, and then I tried it, and then I went, nope.
You were supposed to
Oh,
tell us that so we could help.
you
I
tried
I
it?
had I no, I did. I had a friend. I played with friend. Friend noticed that I was considerably getting disinterested. Friend goes, "You didn't buy it, did you?" I go, "No, I didn't." And they went, "Good job." And I went, "All right." Like,
Oh my god.
it's the MMO thing, and
Yeah.
it's the having to pay for it thing. I don't if it's a single player game that I get to play all the way through, says the person that's playing Marvel Rivals, but like, but but if it's a single player game that I can just vibe and play through all on my own, I would be much more inclined to play it. But it is a multi-man player game that I have to do big raid battles and interact with actual human beings, and I get enough of that at work on a daily basis. I'm good.
I will say I hope my hopes for this game, because obviously I expect it to go on for a long time, but you know, I doubt it can stay online forever. It would be nice if they released a version that was a single player version. Obviously, that would be a ton of work, but that's just something I would like to see. So that because I don't think you're alone in that, Red, and I think it would be a nicer way to introduce it to people who maybe don't want to play with other people. Like I get it. Like this is the only MMO I ever plan to play. I do not want to play another MMO. I don't think I like MMOs, but I love 14. So, like,
They're already part of the way there too. Like you can play every single required dungeon and trial with the like as single player.
that's true.
I guess the only exception to that is the Crystal Tower raid series from A Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
That you do have to do multiplayer, but every other required thing you can do completely. Like you could play through the story of the game without almost ever needing to actually interact with anyone. So there's progress there, and I'd like to think that by the time servers going out is even a conversation, that would be a possibility to just make it all like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, yeah, I think that's all I have to say on 14. If you want to continue down your list, Sam.
Sure, yeah, I'll keep trying to make it fast. So let's see. Got Dragon Age the Veilguard. Still haven't finished it because I'm playing my spouse and I are both very into Dragon Age, and so we're both trying to play it like separate from each other so we don't spoil each other on stuff, and we've both just hit a wall where they're kind of just having trouble with motivation for playing new things right now, and I have so many other things to play that I'm just waiting on them to do to get further in that. It's fine. I really like the characters. They went full it's pretty clear that this is a game. No, not that the specifics are necessarily there, but like they had planned on this game to be a live service thing, and then everyone was like, "Why the fuck do you think Dragon Age fans want a live service game? What are you doing?" It was an incredibly stupid idea. And so they went back on that, but they had developed a lot of it as a live service game, and it's kind of clear that that development messed with it a bit. And it's also the first one in the series to just be a full-on action game, and as a full-on action game, it's fine. Like it's fine. It's not great. It's okay. So kind of disappointing overall, but a lot of people treat it as though it's like, oh, it's like this horrible thing. I don't know. I'm enjoying it fine so far. And we'll see where it goes. I don't think it's going to end up measuring up to the first three by the time it's over, but I'm enjoying it fine. I'll keep giving it a chance. I played that was this year, right? Or was it last year? Indica.
That was
it was this year. Yeah. So I played Indica. It's fascinating. It's it's a cinematic adventure game basically. Think Quantic Dream or Telltale. And the basic short pitch of the story is that a nun who thinks that the devil is constantly talking to her ends up on an unplanned road trip essentially with a convicted criminal who thinks he can hear the voice of God.
Oh.
And it's very interesting. It is a very interesting exploration of religion from like a personal perspective, and it has some very strange there are a lot of elements of it, from the music to a few like 2D pixelated sections that are kind of clearly drawing on the artifice of like video games as a medium to make commentary on religion in interesting ways. Again, it's definitely one that my like ex-evangelical ass enjoyed in particular. I I don't know, it's weird. It's one of those where I don't know that I would say like it's great, you should all play it necessarily, but it's definitely an experience, and one that I'm glad that I had. It was very interesting. And also Civ 7 came out this year, not last.
I think it was
so
this
I won't
year.
talk about it yet, but I'm enjoying it. Oh yeah, no, it was like a few weeks ago. So yeah. I think Poppy Playtime Chapter 2 came out last year. I'm still enjoying Poppy Playtime. I still haven't played 3 and 4 just came out. But I'm replaying them with Jimmy right now, and I'm enjoying that more than I expected. Another game that came out last year that I liked a lot, that I've been playing a lot, is Dale and Dawson Stationary Supplies.
Hell yeah.
It's basically Among Us if it was The Office, where like some people are slackers and other people are specialists, and one person is the manager, and their job is to figure out who the slackers are and fire them. and with like proximity chat and stuff. Like it's a very very fun little game to play with your friends. Um, let's see. The Spirit of the Samurai. I haven't finished yet, but it's basically a 2D like cinematic action game where you play as a samurai and also the samurai's cat when there's like a demon invasion, and it's made with the gameplay and stuff to look very stop motion. Like the animations and such are um they just have that kind of low frame rate quality to them, and artistically it's very impressive. Gameplay wise, it's really clunky in ways that you'd kind of expect from that kind of cinematic side scrolling game with a special art style. Like I've played other games like it that have felt similar. And I would like to play more of it because I've seen bits of it, especially the bits where you play as the cat, that seem really cool. Um, so yeah, I played Click Olding. Very strange, very interesting game by the same people that made an airport made for aliens, currently run by dogs. Uh,
Mm,
it's
Wait,
a weird one.
wait, what is it called?
An airport for aliens, currently run by dogs, is the other game that they made like a year or two. It's my understanding is that you basically explore an airport and talk to JPEGs of dogs.
That that sounds amazing.
I've heard it's good. Yeah, I need to play more of this team's games because they're interesting. And Click Holding is like an hour-long experience or so that is very dark and strange and weird. And I still don't know how I feel about it, but I did indeed play it. Um, and okay, in terms of games that didn't come out last year that I can rattle off that I played that I really really liked, Frostpunk. I played the first Frostpunk. I still have to play the second one that came out last year. Uh, really good, like sort of real time city building strategy game where you're trying to survive a really harsh winter around this big generator. Very narrative focused for this kind of game. This genre doesn't usually appeal to me a whole lot because it's all strategy and gameplay and not much narrative, but it legitimately hit me in the feels real hard, and I loved the experience a lot. So I'm looking forward to playing more. I played Choo Choo Charles. It was weird. It was it was a fun little horror something. I enjoyed it. I hope they make another one because I feel like its main thing is that there could have been a lot more. It could have been built out for a lot more, and it would have been fun. I heard Red made a noise. What was that noise?
I was, I might have been quoting the ancient meme from the X-Men animated series. Charles, get out of my head, Charles. That Juggernaut would scream.
Oh, okay. Well,
Uh,
that works too. Yeah. It was weird. I hope there's more. Um. So yeah, I finally finished Trails in the Sky 2 because I love the Trails series very much, but I started with Trails of Cold Steel, and like one person listening is going to understand anything I'm talking about here. But whatever. Point being, it's a very long running series, and Trails of Cold Steel is a great place to start until the third game, and especially the fourth one, at which point they start bringing characters in from the previous Trails games, and if you don't know them, you're going to be very lost. So I stopped after 3 to play the old ones, and I finally finished Trails in the Sky Part 2. I'm gonna play third next, and then the 2 Crossbell games, and then finally get back to Cold Steel. So that's exciting. Um, Trails games are still fantastic. Absolutely love them. Yeah. Finally played Neon White. Very very fun. Um, and okay, there's one more that I have to talk about that's really weird. Um, it's very very strange, but um, there. Well, actually, let me check my PlayStation thing super quick. Oh, I played Plucky Squire. It was pretty good. Um, finished Sea of Stars. It was incredible. I liked Sea of Stars quite a bit. Um, but okay. Oh, sorry. No, there's one more I have to talk about before I talk about the weird one. Well, no, I'll talk about the weird one first because this is going to be one that you have to talk about too, Danielle. Um, so the weird one is I played a game available on itch.io called Ratatouille: The Perfect Dish, and Ratatouille is spelled with a 2
Oh
because
my
it's
god.
basically a fan-made sequel to Ratatouille that is also a full-on like 60-hour long RPG Maker Persona style game. And it's nuts. I cannot believe that someone actually made this and released it for free. it's basically just like a big long shit post, but also again a fully functional Persona style RPG. In I I don't even. It was very odd. I don't like. Yeah, it's a thing. It's on itch.io for free. So like, if you want to look at it, go ahead. It looks like a shit post because it is, but it's also a an entire ass game. Just very strange. It's something.
How
Yeah.
many hours have
And
you put
then
into that? Do you know?
I actually didn't because I was playing it as part of my game club
Mm-hmm.
on Patreon, and so we were kind of like we had to meet and talk about it. So we were kind of limited on time, and I ended up putting like 35 hours in, I think, by the time I finished it. But there was a lot of side content I didn't do. There's like a whole side quest about all the other all the Persona protagonists being there, and another side quest about fighting Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for
Oh,
some, and another one about finding the Chaos Emeralds. Like again,
it is a
it is.
JoJo reference.
Oh yeah, very much. Yeah, it's again, it's bizarre. I I don't know. I I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did because it is a full on. It's just it's nuts that one person made it. I guess that one person did that and released it for free on the internet for anyone to play. Um. So yeah,
It's
that's
cooking, but it's me, Dio.
It's me, Dio.
Uh,
yep.
good job,
Uh.
Jake.
And then, last one that I'll talk about,
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yes.
I actually still haven't finished this one. I was hoping to by the time we did this, but I didn't. Uh, I loved Remake. Aside from the weird meta shit, I know that opinions are mixed on that. Some people love it. I hate it. That was the only thing I hated about Remake.
Yeah.
Uh, Rebirth
No
is
spoilers. Yes.
yeah, no
Sorry, go ahead.
spoilers. Rebirth is for the most part maintaining the same basic concept of faithfully retelling the story, uh, while also having some weird stuff going on the side. And I like the weird stuff on the side more so far. Um, if they use it to save Aerith at the end, I swear I will explode. But I don't know what happens, so I can't say anything about that. I I for the most part, they do a good job retelling the original stuff. There are definitely some scenes that I don't like as much, like that they made some changes aside from just format stuff that I don't like as much. The Barrett and different Dio, but not the JoJo's Dio. The Barrett and Dio scene I don't like as much with just some of the choices they made, stuff. But then other stuff like Red 13 and Cosmo Canyon, I absolutely love how they handled that. So like, there's a lot that I do like about it. It's also full of mini games, just mini games galore, like an old timey JRPG, and I love that. But also, it is it's a big open world with a lot of busy work to do, and there's some stuff in there that I really like, and there's a lot that I don't as much, and it just feels a lot and overwhelming. While also simultaneously making the world feel small, because by the time you unlock it all, like you can just jet across the world in a few minutes, and no, that's I like the fact that the format of the originals had it so that you clearly understood when you were on the world map you were walking around, but that was simulating long travel, right? So that it didn't, even though you could walk across the world, it didn't feel like it was made small for it. This loses that completely by being a contiguous world, and I don't like that very much. There's just, I don't know. It didn't hit me as well as it seems to have hit a lot of other people. Still fantastic to play. They still have the characters, just absolutely, they nailed them. They did great on them. Like, most of the stuff I loved about Remake is also here. There's just a lot of other stuff here, some of which I like and some of which I don't. So that's that. Danielle, you have thoughts too, and you've actually finished it. So
Yeah. Um. I pretty much agree with you, and I'll just add that. Obviously, once again, yeah, I will also say no spoilers, but I'm very mixed on this game, and I look back on it fondly now that I have finished it. But my big issue with it is that it is a massive game, which was to be expected, but it has a lot of the stuff that they have you doing in the game just feels very empty. So it's this big world and you're doing side quests that just feel, I don't want to say pointless, but they just feel very hand-holdy, very like when you're going around the world, for example. Because again, this game it's linear, but it also wants to be part open world. Like there are sections where you're walking through the world and you're expected to explore, and it implements things like towers, for example, like the you see in like Breath of the Wild and Spider-Man, for fast travel and stuff like that. But there's also like an element of just when you're going around exploring, I just want to explore. And the game constantly does things where it like, I don't know, is this a spoiler? Like the owl thing, can I say that?
It's okay if you do. I don't really care.
I guess
I don't actually remember what owl thing you're talking about, so
it's a gameplay spoiler and it's not in the original.
I don't care.
Personally, I don't think gameplay spoilers matter very much, but
Okay.
I'm sure there are other people who disagree with that. I don't know.
I mean, this is a very light, but there's this like thing where you're supposed to find, I forget what they're called, but like these little sections in the world, and how instead of just like finding them on your own, the game has an owl appear and it circles you like crazy and goes whoo whoo whoo, and it wants you to follow it. And I swear to God, by the end of this game, I was like, if I see another owl, I don't, like, let me find it myself. Like, please let me explore and find things myself, because it just wasn't fun anymore. And honestly, I loved Remake. That was one game that where I played it, I never wanted it to end. And then I came to Rebirth, and I got to a point where I was like, I put it down. I did not want to play it anymore. I only just finished it. I think in January. Yeah, early January. Character wise, yeah, they nailed them. I think so. Without going too deep into things, I think this is a remake series, but it's also very much a re-envisioning of 7, and they're doing different things. And having played Rebirth now, coming back to Remake, I can see the different things that they were setting up in Remake that are much more apparent to me now. And I don't think it's bad. I just feel like it misses the point a little of 7. And that's the frustrating thing for me. But
that sounds like something I'd agree with.
yeah, I'll be definitely, I'm so interested in when you finish it, your thoughts. But again, not a bad game, like, and there was a lot to love about it. And again, like, when we're talking about like mini games and stuff, like 7 has a bunch of stuff in it that can feel tedious and annoying, but there's a lot of charm to it, I feel like, and you can just feel the I guess the heart that was put into the game when they were making it. It just feels so charming, and I love that about it. And this game feels like they put stuff in there because that's what you do for open world games. And some of it was like pulled from 7, which is great, but like it just became tiresome after a while for me. And that is a very disappointing thing for me to say, because I was so excited for Rebirth. And I'm I'm not the biggest fan of it, but again, like, I don't know, I feel like very weird because there's a lot of stuff that I really didn't like, but then I also look back on it and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to replay it. So I don't know, that's a weird thing to say, but yeah, so a mixed bag for sure. But I'm interested to see what they do with the third, assuming the third game is the final one, assuming this is a trilogy. But yeah.
Yeah, the side content's weird for me because I definitely like the open world fatigue has set in, and then some for me in general. I do think that a lot of the side content is genuinely good. Like there's a whole side quest where you just follow a cat around. Except also while you're following the cat around, Barrett is having like an existential crisis about whether he can be there for his kid, and it's like
Right.
really cute.
And the best
Like
music. Bow wow
yeah,
wow.
and very, very good music. Yeah. Also, the Chocobo racing is fantastic and has a lot of really good Chocobo racing like background music. It's so good and fun. I hope they make a whole like Mario Kart game surrounding it, like they did on the PS1, but good this time.
Pro-
Like, yeah, there's just too much. There's more than there needs to be, and it makes things feel bloated and checklisty. And I don't know, I'm just
yeah.
very done with some of this.
Yeah, and I was
Uh,
gonna. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, no, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like so prior to us recording, I was getting my notes together a few weeks ago when before I'd gotten sick, and we were planning to record then, and I thought I might like write out some of my thoughts on some of these games ahead of time, just because that's sometimes helpful to me to reference, and I ended up writing like a whole page of notes for Rebirth, and I was like, all right, so like I can't read this on stream. Like so needless to say is that I actually have a lot more to say. It's just I feel like that would take over this podcast, but yeah, I think just open world fatigue has definitely set in for me. I always kind of wondered what people meant when they said they were sick of open world games, and now I get it a lot more, because I felt that fatigue much more as of late. And
I just don't have time for every fucking game that comes out to take like 60 hours. I
right,
love a good 60 plus hour game, but that's just everything now. And
right,
I hate that. Like, I want to go back to when your average random, like, mediocre console release was like 8 hours instead of 30, because I can sink 8 hours into a mediocre game that makes me think about some stuff. I can't do that for every 40, 50, 60 hour game that comes along. It's
well,
just infuriating for
that,
me.
and also I feel like and again, this is like my perspective when I come to the remake series specifically, but like I'm playing through this expecting to see the game that I love retold in this new form. And so like I'm anxious to see certain scenes adapted, and that's all I really wanted. And so like the side content, even though it might have been great, it was kind of like, or well, not great, but like fine. It was kind of thing where it's like, but I just really want to like keep doing the story. And there was content in remake, and I loved the side content. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice break sometimes. And it like gave a lot of character moments, and the gameplay was fun enough. And in some ways they are continuing that in Rebirth, but there's just a lot of it. And again, the open worldness, like it's just, for me, it was too much. But,
you know,
you know, I know people who, I have a friend who played this, and he told me it's his favorite game of all time. And
yeah, a lot of people really loved it.
yeah, I still haven't really chatted with him about it, so I'll have to text him to see if we get together. I want to pick his brain about it because I want to know. Because, well, yeah, I won't go too deep into it. But anyway, yeah, lots of feelings on Rebirth for sure.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
You can tell I have like very strong opinions. I have a lot to say in this game.
Yep.
But anyway.
But yeah, that's me. That's my stuff. I think I covered all of the important things. Okay, wait, one more extremely quick thing. Jeanne d'Arc exists now
Yeah.
in playable forms,
Oh yeah.
and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy about that. I still haven't finished my replay. I'm only a little ways into it, but it's a like turn-based tactical JRPG from the PSP that has been stuck on the PSP ever since it came out. And it's good. I liked it a lot back then, and it's always sad to see fantastic games just stuck on an old platform that no one can play anymore. And so it's good that that's out now. And yeah, okay. Anyway, so one of you can go now.
I'll just say real quick that I did play that a little bit, and I did enjoy what I played.
Yeah, it's fun. Oh, also, people in the comments are talking about Shadow of the Colossus, and obviously masterpiece. Yeah, great game. Love that. Um, but yeah, no, I definitely think that a game that released with a big open world that didn't really have anything in it would be received differently now and mostly negatively, and I would love it. Uh, Shadow of the Colossus is weird because it's influenced other games a whole lot, but has not spawned like any copycats,
Right.
really.
Mhm.
It's basically just made some random action games be like, well, what if we had a boss but was big and
Did you
doesn't
mean
play anything like
Castlevania
it?
Lords of Shadow,
Oh my
played by
god.
Robert Carlyle?
We were thinking about exactly the same game, actually. Yes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
just I still
Yup.
am trying to figure out how they got Robert Carlyle for that game, though.
I
I'm
know, right?
trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, and see that was a
Had
thing because they specifically noted, oh yeah, we're kind of inspired by Shadow of the Colossus, and then you get to a boss fight that's basically just all like QuickTime events, and like no, God of War already did giant boss fights that are QuickTime events, and it was cool, but it's not Shadow of the Colossus. Like that's
dare you
so
put
yeah,
Robert Carlyle in your game? How
yeah,
dare you? It's been through
but
enough.
I mean,
yeah,
I will say about Shadow of the Colossus, even though I have my complicated feelings on that game, I do respect its commitment to like its vision that like it focuses on what the game wants you to do and that's it. And I kind of love that.
yeah, it's not too worried about distracting you with a bunch of shit that just takes your time
Right.
for a long time. Like, yeah, but anyway, sorry, I keep finding sidetracks. Why don't you go before I find something else to talk about?
Red.
Speaking of games that don't mess around with your time, let's talk about Froggy's Battle.
All right.
Hell yeah, I don't know what that is. Let's do it.
All right, you're a little frog and you're on a skateboard,
Oh my god.
and you are.
Buying right now. It's $2. Buying this
It's
right now.
$2. It's
Are
two
you kidding
dollars.
me?
You're
Yes.
a little frog inside of a skateboard, and you just go around in circles over and over again. You perform skate tricks and little ollies to defeat your enemies, and every time you defeat all your enemies, like it goes, oh, have a new upgrade, have a new upgrade, have, and you keep doing like cute little new upgrades, and he gets like a little hat or a little sword or another little hat or like little like just like all these cool moves, and it's like you can like increase your skate power or you could do it. It's a fun game to not completely lock in with, but just have a lot of fun and just be like, this is so much fun. I'm enjoying myself. And
I
it's just you got a loop and it's like a little half pipe and you're just having a grand old time.
this looks adorable and I just went to buy it and Steam said an unexpected error has occurred. So I'm god damn it, I'm going to buy this game. Like
Jake, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you about it. It's just one of those games that I play as a way to like clear my head about things and then promptly die because I'm not amazing at it. But I just have fun because I'm like, oh man, I gotta get that ollie. Oh man, I gotta fight the giant boss. And also, the bosses throughout the game become enemies, and like then it just gets more and more waves of enemies and more waves of enemies. And it's so much fun.
it looks fun.
It and it's like the magic is cute and just 10 out of 10 peak. It's not my favorite game of the year, obviously, but it's just my favorite waste of time game of the year. My favorite, I need to burn at least 10 minutes before I go to work. Froggy's Battle, here we go.
Yep.
Love that.
It is in my cart. And I'm waiting to see what other random indie games you talk about before I actually check out of anything. But
Oh, that's
yes.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's smart.
That's fair. Okay, so Turnip Boy Robs a Bank came out this year.
I still need to play the first one.
You do need to
You
play the
do.
first one.
Yeah.
So Turnip Boy Robs a Bank came out this year. I have not beaten Turnip Boy Robs a Bank because I forgot how bad I was at bullet hell games. I forgot how bad I was at bullet hell games. Playing Turnip Boy swiftly reminded me. I'm like, oh, it's like Toho. It's like, oh, it's like Toho. And then, and promptly getting shot in the face. It like you complete different little challenges. For those who don't know what Turnip Boy is, it is a little bipedal turnip boy who commits tax evasion in the first game, and it's like a Legend of Zelda like, and in this one it is a bullet hell shoot 'em up game with like miniature There's also like mini quests and like mini bosses, and then there's like main bosses. And and when you the more and it's this one's like borderline a roguelike where
Yeah.
because whatever you get out of a level, then you if you die, then you lose the money or a certain portion of the money. But if you don't die, you get the money and you get to upgrade your turnip boyness, like your guns or your ammo or the various things. It has the same oh so random humor. It doesn't always hit. I'm going to say this. It sometimes hits, doesn't always hit. But
Mhm.
it's funny. I just find it like a funny game that's another one of those like I'm not thinking about like a deep and beautiful narrative with this. I'm just a little guy with a gun and I'm trying to rob a bank. And that's the entire premise. And somehow in this bank there's a forest and there's why are there zombies here? I don't know, but Turnip Boy knows why with his whole dead eyes and you get like little outfits and everything and it's just a whole like it's a whole lot of like a boodles of fun. It's like a lot of boodles and oodles of fun that you're just sitting there and you're having a grand old time. You're shooting stuff and you're like, I'm gonna rob the bank, but it's not like you're like I'm gonna rob the bank and like I'm actually hurting like the people that are at the bank. You just kind of shake them a little bit and then you get their money and then you leave.
Yeah.
But except for the guy with the laser eye, like that guy you hurt. But and I think there's aliens. I forgot about the aliens. There's also aliens that show up at one point. It's just a flippin' weird game that I would just. It's one of those like if you like just like a bit of a random humor esque kooky little game where your boss is a dill pickle. Go for it. If you're not into that kind of mood, I wouldn't get it unless you get like a huge discount on it.
Yeah, I will say, Red. I also played this year, and I didn't I didn't get very far in it. It didn't hit me like as much as Turnip Boy commits tax evasion did.
Yeah,
Um, and I guess to be fair, this one is like so much bigger than that game. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, yeah. The world's a lot bigger in this one.
Yeah, but yeah, it still has the quirky humor. Also agree that didn't also always land for me as well. But yeah, but still a fun time and gave it made me chuckle sometimes. Can't forget the bag of milk that you can buy, by the way, and
Oh
carry along
yeah.
too. You know, so just shout out to the bag of milk. Um, but yeah, would recommend. But Sam, I think you would really like.
The first one.
Yeah, it's really good, and I beat it in a sitting. Like, so you
It,
definitely.
Oh, is it that short?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like maybe less than 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it installed on. It's been installed on my Steam Deck for God knows how long. So,
Yeah, it's a. I mean, I haven't played a lot of Zelda, but I could feel like the Zelda influences in that first game a lot. It's very charming, and this game
mhm.
too. Like there's a ton of charm to it. Um, but yeah,
But 10 out of like very much of a would recommend, maybe not 10 out of 10, but like I would say like solid like 8 or 7.
hmm.
Sure.
But I'm trying to think of a okay, so this one's not gonna hit with everyone, but Little Guardsman came out this year, and I thought that was an interesting little visual novel game that I would recommend only to people who are just like, oh man, I really want to play this kind of fun visual novel adventure game that has a very set kind of I don't want to say set kind of narrative because that seems kind of derivative, but I'm saying that you have a set thing because it has like a Papers, Please vibe where you have to approve each person and you have to use your tools and your clues to approve each person, right?
Hmm.
But then there's a time travel narrative
Oh,
Oh,
where one time per like shift, if you screw up real badly, you can go back in time and undo the mistake you did.
hmm.
oh,
And it's not like a life is strange, like, oh man, all these time loops, ah. It's more of a oopsie poop. It's like a oopsie poopsie, and then you go back, and then the time machine becomes relevant later.
Hmm.
because that it does like have a moment where it's like, oh man, I have to go through all these possible futures. Whoa. But it doesn't like stick. It's not in terms of like a hard-hitting time travel narrative. It is more of a this little girl is is covering for her dad because she's at the little guardsman post and she's having to not with no knowledge of how her kingdom works or no knowledge of how their political system works or how their community works. She's having to approve like members of like neighboring kingdoms and like obvious vampires and like stuff like that. It's like, should she approve them? Should she not? It's like, what do you do? It's like, do you leave the vampire out and keep talking to him and inevitably make him catch on fire? Or do you just put him in jail to talk to him later?
Hmm.
And a lot of this determines the fate of your dad too, because that he can get fired because of your actions.
Ah, yeah.
Because
Interesting.
you're a small child that's covering for your adult father. And when that gets found out, they're like, okay, well, now you are officially employed by the kingdom, and now you have to get everything right.
Interesting.
It's a, it's like, I don't want to say it's fun, but it's also like, you get very involved in the narrative, and it gets to the point where, like, it drags a little bit near the end.
Mm.
Where it's just like there's too many coincidences at this point where you're going, okay, guys, I get it. But it deserves a lot of the hype it gets. Also, the voice acting is very good. And there's, oh yeah, and the kingdom's called Sprawl, like a sprawling kingdom. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
The pun. It's honestly really good. And I found it by complete chance because I was going through my Steam discovery queue and they went, oh, this is a fun game. I went, all right, and it was on sale and I grabbed it.
Oh, nice.
So solid, like solid pick if you want to just like have a good story experience that's also funny and heartwarming, a little Saturday morning cartoony kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get looking at the trailer now.
Yeah, that's very much the vibe, and it's a good vibe to have.
Yeah.
But the big reason it did not earn my game of the year is because that the ending is just a lot. And if I didn't figure things out the way I did by like kind of going back a couple of times on purpose and being like, I feel like I did something wrong here and I'm gonna and going back, I wouldn't have figured out the big twist to get the best ending.
Oh.
That's my only kind of flaw with it was that I was going, I shouldn't have to go back in order for me to understand that one, but okay.
Mm.
But that might be a me thing. Might be a me thing.
I mean, but you always want to get the good ending, so like I feel that.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked it though. I This is a less of a game and more of a point and click kind of game, and
Okay.
more Papers Please kind of game. But not. It's Papers Please, but without the horrific dystopia.
Right.
I still need to play that too.
That's a
That,
good one, and also fairly short.
it's also on sale a lot.
I
Yeah, yeah, you can get it cheap, easy,
somebody
and
Like,
gifted
it's
it to
definitely
me.
worth a play.
Yeah, I
Oh,
have
there you
it,
go.
so
there you go.
I have no excuse. But, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like stuff like that I really liked, but like didn't make like the game of the year at the that I mentioned.
Mm.
Okay, so I played a lot of Dave of the Diver this year, and I beat Dave of the Diver this year.
Okay.
Dave the Diver this year. Dave of the Diver. I beat Dave the Diver this year, and uh, how do I how do I express the fact that it is 100% a fun, quirky game about running a sushi shop and having all of these moving parts that are going on. But also, I can definitely tell that the publisher of this is affiliated with a company that is known for one of the biggest Korean grinder MMOs out there.
Mm.
Because that you guys know the controversy behind Dave the Diver and like when it got indie game,
Yeah.
like it was nominated. Yeah,
I actually don't think I know about this.
it's a lot of people say it should not have been nominated as an indie game because its publisher is like a subsidiary of Nexon Games, which is one of the biggest Korean MMORPG companies in South Korea.
Okay.
It made Maple Story,
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
and
I've heard of
that
that. Yeah.
yeah, and I've played that, and yeah, Maple Story is was a big deal and still is in some chunks of society. I have not played in years,
Hmm.
but
Interesting. Okay.
this game shows it has so many really good elements to it. And like I would not say the story is as much of a good element. I think that like it is the understandable narrative of like don't overfish, but also it has like a colonization vibe at one point later that happens with sea people. Just it's a lot. But
Hmm.
what kind of throws me off, and this is something that I was just kind of disoriented with the game, is that it has so many mini games, and you could tell like a lot, like from the trailer, there's so many mini games. But it's me sitting there going, "Wait, are these all? Do I have to do all of these?" And then come to find out, in order to like, if I wanted to 100% the game at any point, I would have to play some mini games that you cannot get unless you play a certain amount of hours of the game,
What?
because that one of
Huh?
the okay, yeah. So one of the achievements on the PS4, I don't know if it's on Steam or not, is tied to essentially a Tamagotchi pet that is in the game that you have to use whenever you like go in day out, and you have to keep up with it just like a normal Tamagotchi back in the 90s 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you don't keep that thing alive, and I think like get it through like multiple life cycles, it resets, and then you have to start all over again, and you have to do a certain amount of days in game, which is a certain amount of hours IRL. It There's like a math thing to it. I could be talking out my butt here, but I looked up how to do it, and there is genuinely people on Steam and on other platforms that say it's not worth it.
Really?
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, people say it is not worth to even attempt to 100% Dave the Diver because of that achievement alone.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's like okay, and there's like also like there's so many different kind of cool mini games, and on one hand it's like, "Oh man, I would love to see if this is tied up with anything." And it a lot of times it's not. Like you would think that like the silly rhythm game would be tied to an achievement, right? If you wanted to play around with it. It's not. But
Hmm.
the Tamagotchi is.
Oh God.
See, like it's just kind of weird. But that does like it doesn't completely take away from the game, but the game has a grindy nature, like another game that I played this year. And while this game spaces out the grind considerably throughout the game, it when it slows to a halt, it is clear that the game wants you to stop playing for the day.
Oh,
Hmm.
interesting.
It like it's not a daily thing. It's just something I've noticed with the game where like if you keep playing over and over and over and over and over again for like several hours straight, which is sometimes what I did, I couldn't take the entire day to play Dave the Diver because if I did, I would have lost my mind because it's just an always be grinding vibe. Exactly. It's it's the always be grinding vibe of just I have to I have to mind get this fish in order to get this dish in order to get this part to or in order to feed these customers in order to do this in order to do, and it's like a never ending. It's like doing okay. Here's a good example for you two. It's a daily quest, but imagine the daily quest is every day in game
Sure. Right.
constantly again
Oh, I
and
see.
again and again you do not stop. It's the same quest and it's the only quest except for the
Hmm.
mini games.
Huh. Okay.
And it's fun, but it can be so tedious. And that is the best way I can describe this game is that it is like incredibly fun and relaxing, but boy, can it be tedious, and I have to stop sometimes.
Mm, gotcha.
But the Godzilla expansion was awesome, and that was a 10 out of 10 free DLC. Would do again. Like the Godzilla was so good. It was so perfect.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have heard that was fun.
Yeah. I
Also, fighting sharks. So Dave is a squishy dude,
yeah.
and oh boy, at the beginning of the game, you're like, oh no, a shark, and then the shark proceeds to punch you in the face so hard that your ancestors can feel it,
Oh wow.
and you die, and then you lose all your stuff. That's the other thing. It's also a roguelike. You lose all
Oh,
your stuff and die. And then you
interesting.
get dragged back up to the boat, and they're like, "You lost all your fish, Dave," and that means you can't cook anything from the ingredients that you had just spent all day catching under the water.
Oh, that sucks. Oh
It
man.
is, and it's very much of a get good. It's like, no, no, you don't understand. The game will put you in areas because this random spawn a lot of like the certain things. It will deliberately, if you haven't run into something that will almost certainly take half your health within a second, it will deliberately make you do it. I've noticed it in the algorithm, or not the
Oh,
algorithm, but in the coding, where I did an experiment where I did it after like I think it's like 3 or 4 days. If you don't run into something that immediately is trying to come for your throat, I will be surprised. Because
Ah,
I did a pattern and I was noticing it. I went, oh, okay.
oh.
it's
Okay, I see how this goes.
it's time. It's time for death.
It's like, well, it was nice knowing you. Like, ugh. That's
Okay.
why you have to keep grinding to get those upgrades, man.
It's interesting to hear you talk about it because I've heard nothing but just praise for this game. And I guess I can't say I've read into it too deeply, but like it's been on my list. I've just held off buying it just because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I necessarily like wanted to buy it or not, so I've been holding off. Um,
It is on PS Plus.
Oh, right, I forgot that.
is it? I have the
Yep,
lowest
that's
tier, so
that.
I yeah.
Well, it was one of the free games that was offered, and I played it, and I like it a lot. Like it is a very relaxing game, and I like playing it, but can't play it for more than a couple hours because oh boy, the grind gets to you.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
I really, I don't know. I've kind of assumed that from the look of it, it seems to me like the type of game that I would enjoy and not the type of game that I would love.
Yeah.
And you know, someday I'll try it.
Yeah. Any others you want to talk about, Red?
Maybe, maybe, maybe.
Wait, while you're thinking about it, can I point out that the Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition came out this year? And if anyone hasn't played Beyond Good and Evil, they should get that and play it
Please don't get
because
the
it's really
PC
good.
version. I beg you
Well,
guys, do not get the
well
PC version.
wait, are you talking about the PC version of the 20th Anniversary Edition or the original PC version?
Both, because apparently it's not just as bad, but a lot of people are saying, "Hey, so I'm still getting the bugs." I'm like, "Ah, God, of
Really?
course."
That's
Yeah,
unfortunate. Because yeah,
I
the
have heard
original
that
PC
a
version
lot.
is pretty much unplayable on modern systems. It's
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, though, like whatever system you have otherwise, then absolutely play Beyond Good and Evil. It is so good, and we're never getting a sequel. And if we do, it's not going to be the sequel we should have gotten. And just yeah, no, it's great. Everyone should play it. I spent too much money on the special edition limited run release
I
of it because I love the game so much.
I missed the opportunity, but I have my GameCube version. I'm happy. Like the GameCube version is to me the superior version. I
Mm.
just got I got I got weirded out because I noticed Jade's face doesn't move as much in the remake. I went, I don't like that.
Oh, weird.
It's just something I immediately noticed. I went, why is Jade's face not moving, but
Mm.
Paige is like fully articulated? How'd that happen?
Yeah. See, I haven't played the remake yet because or remaster or whatever it is because I got that physical edition. I'm waiting on that to be. When is that? I'm gonna look up when that's coming because I
Yeah.
want
See
it.
you in 40
Oh.
years. I
While while
just
it
it's
it
limited
should be
run.
in the next couple months. I feel like, but
It's
Yeah,
limited
no,
run games though, man. Like,
yeah, the thing is, I generally enjoy, like, what happens with limited run for me is that I see something and I'm excited about it and I order it, and then it takes like 5 or 6 months and I forget that and then I just get a package. I'm like, oh, what's it? Oh, it's this game I really like. That's exciting.
Yeah.
uh,
it's a free gift.
Free gift.
uh,
Like, it's one
it's
of those.
shipping in late May, so okay,
A little while, but
sure,
that's okay.
Your
yeah,
mileage may your mileage may vary. You can get like the remake if you want to. I'm kind of disappointed they will not make a physical version as of right now, like an
yeah.
actual physical version.
They don't like
I
doing that anymore, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I would much rather tell people like, hey, just pick up a GameCube and get the GameCube version. But
I do
I
hey,
mean,
know
you
the
could
game.
Nintendo,
also
release it, please.
you could not that I would condone such activities, but there are emulators for such systems.
Not that I would condone activities, but hey, so Dolphin exists, and the
Yep.
GameCube version for Dolphin pretty good. Just saying, whoopsie.
Just saying. Whoopsie daisy.
Yup.
I'm just saying.
Just put
The
on your straw hat or pirate hat. Sorry, I got into One Piece and now I think straw hats for pirates instead of pirate hats, but
yeah,
yeah.
vibes are there.
Yep.
I will say that I own 3 copies of Beyond Good and Evil, and I still have not played it. Okay. Uh,
How?
let me
I
explain.
know. I keep telling her to.
How do
Hang
you
on.
have 3 copies and
I-
you're like, nah,
Look,
more of hot garbage, please. Like, no, what are you doing?
no, look. I did buy the remake version, or well, remastered version, whatever. Is it remake or remastered that just came out? It's a remake,
It
right?
seems to just be a
Remaster.
A
remaster.
remaster. Okay.
Like, yeah.
Um, I did buy that. I got a really cheap copy of it on my Xbox 360, like the HD version.
Yeah.
But I like never have that hooked up. And then I got the original version on PC that you just can't play with a
Unplayable.
controller. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I was like, I actually booted it up one time. I was going to play it, and this before I had the remastered version because it hadn't come out yet, it wasn't announced, and I was like, oh, all right, like, well, I guess I'm not playing this. And I think at the time maybe I would have switched to my Xbox, but I don't think it was at my apartment at the time. Um,
Sure.
so I,
Yeah. For what it's worth, the Beyond Good and Evil HD re-release on the Xbox is also great. Like, it's legit just like a resolution upscale of the original game, and it's very good. Um, but yeah.
But there's something the sketchy thing that Ubisoft did, and I don't know if anyone knows about this. Hey, so Ubisoft took all of the HD remakes off of the market sale
Oh,
after. Like, of course they did,
I
and
hate when they do that shit.
yeah,
because they're like, buy the remake. It's like the remake is just an upscaled version of the remake. You stupid bitch! Like,
Seriously.
me being angry at Ubisoft never ends. But
I mean, it's fair, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, they
yeah,
suck.
yeah, no, they suck. Also, hey, speaking of really
Right, yeah,
interesting
keep on
story.
going.
No, I'm going off about. Hey, so cooking companions and Dreadweight exist.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
visual novels, horror visual novels, cooking
Oh.
companion. Yeah, it. Game Theory did a whole thing about it, which kind of made it blow up a bit.
Oh.
Made it blow up. Dreadweight came out last year. It was good, but it was not as good as Cooking Companions, and I think most people kind of agree with that one. But there is a buff lady in it, so like your mileage may vary if that is what you focus on. It it's interesting because it does continue from last time. I will say Cooking Companions. I'm not going to spoil anything about Cooking Companions. Cooking Companions had a really interesting overall horror plot and build up. Excuse me. You knew something was up with what was happening. Like these characters stuck in a place. There's this person that's with them. That's helping them out. They're all stuck as the rain continues. What's gonna happen? Oh, each of them start disappearing, and you start having trippy visions. I wonder what that's about. Oh, and then in the second game, it's more of like you're having trippy visions of something that has already occurred, but you're also flashing back to the present. So it occurred in the past couple of days, but you're flashing back to the present.
Hmm.
And it takes itself a little bit less seriously, and I don't know how I feel about that when it comes to Dreadweight, because that Cooking Companion took itself, for the most part, almost completely seriously, despite the talking vegetables and fruit. Like, it was, like, surprisingly, took itself almost completely seriously. This one is more of tongue in cheek, and I don't know how I feel about this because that it is one of those like it's the dark humor stuff, but also the jokes don't always land.
Mm.
So you have to kind of go. You have to take your good with your bad on that one. But like the jump scare faces are still there that a lot of people have talked about for way too long, and like the theory crafting is still theory crafting. But it's surprisingly, despite the fact that game theory covered it, it does not have as big of a fan base as something like Poppy's Playtime or something like that. And you think
Right.
it would, because it's like, look, anime characters that are in a situation that requires murder. You would think it would have a larger fan base, but it doesn't, and I'm surprised.
Hmm.
Because considering like the internet's genuine like this game that's gonna be coming that's just came out I think like last year called Me Side. It's about this anime girl that traps you in a game and something something something. But like that got super popular. But then meanwhile there's this game that has like a whole cast of interesting looking anime characters and a full muscle person, and nobody's like been like, ah yes, let's all hyperfixate on this one. Just
Interesting.
interesting. Yeah, just I was like,
Yeah.
huh. What an interesting thing to not catch on as much. Like I can see Dread Weight not catching on as much compared to Cooking Companions, but even Cooking Companions like did not blow up as much as I thought it would.
I don't. To be honest with you, like I don't think I've heard of that.
Cooking Companions?
Yeah, no.
I hadn't either. That's a new one on me.
I had heard of it on accident, Tumblr, but it just popped up on my feed and they were like, "Oh yeah, another story about people eating each other," and I went, "What?" And and I went looked it
Another?
up, and I went another. It's like another. What is it? And I had to look it up. I went, ah,
Huh.
but it's good. And also, the original Cooking Companions actually has a add-on DLC that's free
Hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
that explains the origins behind the uh vegetable slash fruit characters.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. I don't know. This is one of those like I actually would recommend this to people that like horror, and but if you get spooked easily, maybe play it during the daytime with the lights on, because
Sure. Yeah.
some people get spooked real easy from jump scare stuff. I just kind of smiled throughout it because I went, that's cute. Anyways, like
Yeah. Honestly, jump scares annoy me more than they scare me. Like,
yeah.
not that every instance of a jump scare is bad, but when horror is just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna jump scare you all the time. Like that is the laziest form of scary that you can possibly do. Give me some, tension and stuff, please.
I in terms of like what gives more tension, it's the original one that like builds it up a lot better.
Mm.
Like this one kind of it builds up the tension, but then when it's like, oh man, look at the spooky, and you just go, okay, all right, thanks. This one tries to jump scare you a little more.
Well, interesting.
Not a FNAF situation, but
Right.
it's a
You know,
it is one of those like small things where I go, all right, I guess you guys didn't think that you could build up as much tension with this particular cast of characters, which I mean, I get it. But I liked it. This is one of those like I really like this game. I want more people to play it kind of things, but also I understand if you don't want to play it because the I can see the art style turning people off at best.
Mm.
Mm.
All right.
All right,
Um.
we can mosey on to something else.
Okay. Um.
Now, what
And
about yours then, Danielle?
yeah, so I'll just quickly go down my list. So the first one I want to mention is I finally played Alan Wake.
Oh,
Right. Yeah.
I played the remastered version. Um, I forget if I've ever mentioned this on here, uh, Red, but I am not a big horror game person. Not that Alan Wake is necessarily a horror game, but like horror adjacent, I guess. A lot of people call it a horror game. I don't know if either of you have an opinion on that. Uh,
Yeah. I don't know. Horror light, maybe.
adjacent.
Yeah, I would argue it's more adjacent than not. I think that's like calling Bioshock a horror game. Like, not really. It's just creepy sometimes. But yeah.
yeah. Um, and like I knew this had horror elements in it, and I was not looking forward to that. And it's not that scary, but the things that it does that are horror adjacent, like, are just my particular brand of I hate this. So that was not always the best for me. I'm glad to have finally experienced it. Like, I think I can see why. I Is it fair to call it a cult classic? Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Yeah. I feel like now that Alan Wake 2 got actual major acclaim, that it might be, in hindsight, less cult-ish in that sense. But
Yeah.
for its release, and say, absolutely, yeah.
Underground hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. But yeah, like I I enjoyed like it for what it was, but I will admit I did struggle a little because the gameplay loop got a bit tiresome for me after a while. Like, walk a few steps and guys come out of the shadows, you shoot them, rinse, repeat,
Hmm.
and maybe a cutscene will happen. And oftentimes, like, I got to points where um, I found myself struggling with the combat, and I was like, I would like plead with my television. I'm like, I just want to go forward in the story. Please get me out of here. I hate this. Um, like, on multiple occasions, uh, but yeah, it's cool to have finally experienced it. I'm, I, yeah, I don't know if I love it that much, but I think the story is interesting, which is the whole reason I was playing it to begin with. And I think it's doing a lot of interesting things. And I'm very anxious to play Alan Wake 2 now, right? And Control, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
very curious to hear your thoughts on both of those.
yeah,
Uh, I feel like Control is probably going to be more up your alley than Alan Wake 2, but
yeah,
Alan Wake 2 is pretty incredible. So, yeah.
yeah. I'm hoping to play Control. It's on my list of games I would like to get to this year. We'll see if I actually get to it,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see. Um, so another game I played this year, or last year, was Code Vein. uh, which Sam and
Yep.
I are co-oping together. Um,
Speaking
and
of underrated games that don't get appreciated enough.
yeah, for those who don't know, this is like a anime Souls-like game, and I love Souls games, so I was definitely down to give this a try, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely like has its jank in places, but like it's not enough to make me like hate it or put it down, and I actually find it to be pretty compelling, and it is enjoyable, and I like the characters a lot, and the story is interesting, and the character customization is awesome.
Yeah,
uh,
that's what made the big splash when it first got. Like, if I remember right, they released a demo that was legit just the character creation because there's a lot there.
yeah,
It's pretty nuts.
yeah, it's just crazy how much you can choose, and yeah, just customize your character. I really loved it. or love doing that. Haven't finished it yet, but hoping to soon. Enjoying it a good deal.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're having fun with it. It's one of my favorite Souls likes personally. It's got its share of anime bullshit, and it's definitely not quite as polished as well. I say as like your average Dark Souls game, but both Dark Souls 1 and 2 in particular have a lot of jank to them. But
That's a good point.
yeah, it could be more polished is the point. But there are a lot of really interesting twists on the genre that gameplay wise that I don't think have been replicated in many other Souls likes. I would say that Stranger of Paradise is probably the closest I can think of to uh, channeling the sort of like different blood codes, like different classes that you can switch between and stuff. Um, it's neat. It's cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, actually, I will say quickly as well that like I do think it's interesting how it makes its own mark on the Souls genre, like with the blood codes. Like typically in Souls games, you're leveling up individual elements, where in this game, when you level up, you click the right D-pad button and you've got your level up, and your individual levels are determined by what blood code you have. And I think that's really interesting because it ideally encourages the player to experiment and try things. I say ideally because I have not experimented and tried many things. I like my build at the moment, but I still like that the potential is there for it. And yes, Yakumo is the best boy. I do love Yakumo a
See,
lot.
I like pretty much all the characters, but I really love Louis in
Louis, yeah.
particular. Just having a character that it was another game that came out at a time where the particular message was something I was receptive to, because having a character who like wants to help people and realize that the only way to actually really do that is to tear down a corrupt system and rebuild it better. I'm like, yes, good boy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like him.
Yeah, there are a lot of great characters in this game, for sure. But yeah, Louis is
Another one we're
fantastic.
probably never getting a sequel to, also. So that's great.
Yeah, because do you know what year this game came out?
2018, I'm
Oh, so
pretty
it's-
sure.
wow.
And there's still just no word on 2019, and yeah, still just no word on any kind of idea for a sequel. The developer has just been working on other stuff, and no one ever. Now and again, I like Google it, and it always comes up with the same Reddit post: "Will there ever be a sequel?" So
Aw, that's disappointing.
yeah,
But yeah, enjoying Code Vein a lot. Um, here's a quirky one that I played quite a bit in 2014. I literally just said 2014. What is wrong with my brain right now? 2024 is Crab Champions, and this is a game that where you play as a crab and you have a gun. Need I say more? Like, what else is there to say about it?
there
Yeah,
was
we've
a
already talked
moment
about
where on the
turnip. We've already talked
yeah,
about turnip with the gun, so like, let's go.
Right?
that's
Yeah,
true.
let's go.
You can also have a gun in another Crab's Treasure. It's the easy the easy mode where you can just
Really?
give Krill a gun and blast through everything in a single shot. So
That
like you're not
is.
supposed to have the gun, but it's like an accessibility thing. So yeah.
I love
Also,
that.
there was a moment where on the screen you had Crab Champions footage going, but it still said Code Vein at the bottom, and that made me very happy.
Yeah. Code Vein? What?
Yep, it's Code Vein, famously a game
Yep.
about crabs with guns.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know? But yeah, this is a game that I've just played online with some friends, and it's very chaotic, but in a fun way. And it's very silly, and just yeah, it's just fun. It's a nice game to play if you have a group of people together, and want to be silly. I'd say highly recommend. Uh, the next game I played a good chunk of is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, this
I've
is
heard it's incredible. I haven't played it.
it is excuse me, it is incredible. It's also incredibly difficult. Uh I I started playing this I think in like 2019, I believe, or whenever, maybe the year it came out in Switch, which I forget when it actually came out in Switch, but um I didn't get too far in the game before like putting it down. Like Donkey Kong, for context, was Donkey Kong Country was the first game I ever played. So I feel like an attachment to Donkey Kong, and but like just my tastes in games have just changed over time, and I just don't gravitate toward playing Donkey Kong games as much. But like, I don't know why. I was just like, I want to boot this up and like try to beat it. It's difficult, but I want to try. And I did get pretty far. I didn't finish it, but I think I'm in the final world now. Um,
Hmm.
and it's just, it's very fun, very difficult. The music is incredible. David
That's
Wise.
Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I say David Wise came back, but I don't know if any other composers also worked on it. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, and visually it's really impressive, and it was just a lot of fun. So I do have to go back to it to try to beat it, but like I keep saying, I find it to be a really hard game. Have well, Red, you made a noise. Have you played this before?
Yes, I have. I really like the Donkey Kong series in general. I too, it was one of my favorite first games that I ever played, so it's I
Nice.
too have an attachment to it. I am not very good at it, but I
Same.
really like it.
I
'Cause I think, oh yeah, okay, so I did get it. Because I think I got Tropical Freeze when it came out. No, I think it's like 2 or 3 years after it came out. I managed to get it.
mm, I feel like I don't know. I feel like at one time I was good at Donkey Kong, but I don't really think I'm good at Donkey Kong anymore.
I
Uh,
think I think it's just a matter of relearning all of the reaction times.
yeah, that's true.
That's always the big thing.
Yeah. And one thing that's nice
Um,
about this version on the Switch is they brought in, it's on the screen now, a funky mode, which gives you more lives. And
oh, that's so nice.
yes, and it also has like Funky's moveset is a bit like, so they kind of showed it, but he has like the surfboard and you can hover. So if like you're about to fall, you can hover over falls where like obviously Donkey Kong can't do that. You could have like a buddy do that, but you know, you're still taking a risk and don't have as many hearts. So funky mode is a welcomed thing in the Switch version. I think I originally, when I started playing this, I played funky mode, but then I switched to a new file and tried to play like as Donkey because I wanted to play as Donkey Kong. Um, but what's also nice is that the game doesn't restrict you. Like, you don't have to play as Donkey Kong the whole playthrough. Like, if you're having
Hmm.
a hard time, you can switch to Funky Kong, which I think is
That's
really
nice.
nice. But it is a fun game. I enjoy it a lot. One day I will beat it. One day. But yeah, another game that I played that I would highly recommend is Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Um, so this game is, oh gosh, that title does not fit on the screen. We'll just roll with it. Uh, this game is a speedrunning game of like classic NES games, like Metroid, Legend of Zelda, uh, Mario 1, 2, and 3, original Donkey Kong, and a bunch of others that are on screen now. And it is so much fun. Like it's very fast paced because obviously it's speed running. So like it will give you like little challenges in the game. So basically, it will say one of the challenges was in Mario 1. In the first level, get a power up. Like so, pretty easy in Mario 1. Like, it's literally right there when you start the game. You just jump up and get it. But what this game does is it will give you like your time, and then you can replay that challenge to try to beat your time, and then you can compete against other players. And a lot of these games I've never played before. Like, I've never played the original Legend of Zelda. I've never played the original Metroid, and so it's fun getting a taste of those games and doing these challenges.
Mm.
I've had a lot of fun with this. I haven't played it nearly as much as I've wanted to, but I do need to get back to it. But yeah, it's nice. Kirby is another one on here, which I have not played Kirby either, and I've been told that is a travesty.
It's a fun series, yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot, and yeah. Um, but I think those are all the games I wanted to mention. Uh, any any others before we uh, wrap things up?
I think I mentioned all the important ones for me. Um, were we going to talk about anticipated games this time, or have we gone on too long?
No, we can talk about anticipated games. I forgot about that actually. So yeah, what games are we looking forward to? Uh, I guess playing in 2025, but also that are coming out in 2025. And anybody could just jump in here.
Just
Oh.
don't mind me. Just going to get my Steam wish list. Just give me a minute.
We're well, a couple have already come out that I'm kind of excited for. I've heard good things about Avowed. Uh so I'll probably play that at some point. Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii just came out, and Make Majima a Pirate is a fantastic elevator pitch for a Yakuza game. I am very much here for it. Looking forward to playing that once I get caught up. Um, and then Civilization 7 came out a bit ago, and I did get it, and it's very good. It definitely like there are plenty of changes to how it works while still keeping the core Civilization gameplay. Civ in the past has been one of those series that like none of them are like my favorite games or whatever. They're not the kind of thing that turn out to be my favorite game. But also, if I start playing it one evening, I will go to bed at like 5 a.m.
Oh,
without
no.
realizing I stayed up that late. So, yeah. And then 7 makes some changes to make it a little more like sort of conceptual and narrative focused in a lot of ways, like more about the type of civilization that you want to run and having more like events that drive you into making not just strategic decisions but story decisions. And I like that kind of thing is great. Split Fiction is going to be coming out, which looks pretty neat. It's a co-op game by the same people that made It Takes Two and A Way Out, and it's about a sci-fi writer and a fantasy writer like switching between the worlds of their two books, I guess. It looks really cool and interesting. I'm here for that. Also, yeah, someone in the comments brought up Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4. I still need to play 2. I feel terrible, but I am excited for more of that for sure. And then, uh, what's the... Oh, Metroid Prime 4 is supposed to happen.
Oh.
I would love that. But mainly, the one that I'm actually most excited for at this point, weirdly, comes out next month. It's called Wanderstop.
Okay.
This is a game by the creator, and if you haven't seen the trailer, you should look it up because the announcement trailer's really good. It's by the creator of the Stanley Parable and the Beginner's Guide, with music by the person who did music for Minecraft. And it's basically like a cozy game about like running an inn and stuff like that, except that the protagonist has a violent past and is basically trying to convince herself that this is the life she wants now. And it seems really interesting. The trailer had me immediately like, okay, yes, I'm playing this. I'm very, very excited for that. So, uh, yeah, Wanderstop is definitely the one that I'm looking forward to most at this point. Oh, and South of Midnight is coming out also, and that looks really neat. Looking forward to South of Midnight. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. What about you, Red?
I am looking forward to Do No Harm, which is the Lovecraftian medical sim game.
Ooh.
I'm I'm really looking forward to that one because I just put it on my Steam wish list apparently at the beginning of the month, and it looks really interesting. I'm not sure how it's going to handle the Lovecraftian stuff, but I'm already interested in it because the Lovecraftian elements can either go one of two ways or one of three ways. Middle of the road, really interesting and thought provoking, and eh. So I am curious to see how this goes because a medical sim is not something I have seen in a bit. So I would like to try to give it a shot.
Yeah, I guess that's not super common, is it? Like, aside from a
No.
couple weird, X simulator type things, the only thing I could think of is Trauma Center from back in the like DS and Wii days.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I haven't played through the Fall of Porcupine yet, but I know that that has some medical elements, but I wouldn't say medical sim.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm I don't know if it's coming out this year. It might not. So Tempest Triad is a dinosaur horror game, and Theriziniasaurus is one of the main bad guys. And for those of you that don't know what it looks like, imagine tall, emu-like dinosaur, long Freddy Krueger front claws, is not a meat eater, eats plants. That is one of the main
Huh.
like attacking dinosaurs, and I would recommend checking out the demo
What'd you say it's
because
called again?
it's called Tempest Triad. It's Tempustriad. It has a demo. It has
Tempus. Okay.
Yeah, it has a demo. It looks pretty interesting and would 10 out of 10 would recommend in terms of how interesting it looks and how much I hope that it's good. Please. I need something that resembles a Jurassic Park book eventually. That new Dispatch that animated Dispatch, the animated single player strategy action choices matter game.
Hmm.
That's very Telltale esque. I'm looking forward to that because this distributing all of these different superheroes and being the 911 dispatcher, that's really interesting. That's a cool concept, and I hope it does well.
It looks really fun. Yeah, I forgot that was this year coming up. So yeah, I'm excited for that too. And it has a
Uh,
lot of old Telltale devs. Like it's not a Telltale game, but a lot of the
but it
people
has
who
a
made Telltale games are making
yeah.
it. So that's great.
Also, Mouse PI for Hire. It's that Steamboat Willie esque first person shooter.
Right. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, it looks kind of like Doom,
Hmm.
except like very Steamboat Willie esque. It looks good. It looks like a lot of like first person goofy fun y, and it's like I don't want to say it's like trying to be too edgy for you. It's just clearly going for a certain style of old timey animation. So it
Cuphead
might be
for
really
it's Doom
interesting.
Cuphead, I guess,
It's Doom,
basically.
it's Doom Cuphead. I don't want to
That's
say it's Doom Cupheads, but it's Doom Cuphead.
that's interesting. Okay, interesting.
And one of the games that I was looking forward to has already come out, which was Urban Myth Dissolution Center.
Hmm.
And that came out at the beginning of the month, and I didn't realize that when I played the demo the other day, and I went, "Oh, it's already out." Well, silly me. But that one's really fun. Would recommend the demo. It is it is point and click adventure s, but your character is dissolving urban myths, but also there's more to it than that, and I'm very interested to see where the story goes.
Okay.
Also, I would like to play a game about digging a hole. I want to see what happens.
I also have my eye on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is $4. I am looking at it and I'm thinking I will eventually go and grab it, but
Yeah.
Wait,
I would have
what?
it's a game about digging a hole.
What is it
That's what
It
it's
called
called.
is
again?
exactly what
It
it's
is
a game about digging
exactly
a
what I
hole.
said. A
That's
game about digging a hole.
this. Okay, I'm intrigued by this. Okay.
And you dig a hole, and it's one of the tags on it says horror, and I'm going, all right.
Interesting. Okay.
And flat and keep driving is already out. Another one I didn't know was already out. It's an inventory management RPG system about how you have to keep driving. Same same says the same on the tin, but it is an RPG esque. So
Hmm.
I haven't heard anything about it. Looks like the reviews are overwhelmingly positive, but I'm just gonna wait for a sale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been hearing good things about that one. I want to try it, which also reminds me, I didn't play Pacific Drive from last year, and I really want to do that too.
I
So let's,
didn't play it either.
yeah.
I wanted to though.
Oh, and Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. I didn't play
Yes.
that yet either.
Yeah, that's one of mine. I was gonna say I need to play that.
Yeah, because
Man,
I
Hello
still
Kitty
love
Island
Sayonara
Adventure.
Wild Hearts.
Yeah.
I do love that that exists.
But that's all I've got.
Uh, so I guess like I don't know if I'm just like out of touch with what's coming out, but like the only game that I can think of that's like coming out this year that I'm excited for is Elden Ring Night Rain. Um,
Oh, right. Yeah. I guess I should have said that too. I got to play the network test, and it'll be a lot more fun when I get to play with friends instead of random people online who just run off and get one shot by bosses and then get mad at us when they did it. Uh, but it was fun. I'm looking forward to more. So yeah, that one for me too.
yeah, it from what you've told me and just from what I've seen online, it looks really neat. So I'm excited to play, I guess, Elden Ring in a different way. It'll be interesting. But as you mentioned, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That's a high one on my list. Um, this one's pretty not old, but like it's been out since I want to say maybe 2020 or 2019. Um, the remake of Link's Awakening. uh, that was a game that I was very much sort of like I saw it and I was like, I don't really like the art style. I just don't think it's for me. And then I went to GDQ and saw a speed run of the new Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, and I was like, okay,
I
I
need
was
to do that one
totally
too.
wrong. Yeah, yeah. The only reason that one's not on here is because I want to play Link's Awakening first, and then play Echoes of Wisdom. But
Mm.
oh my god, the art style was so wrong. It's so charming. Like I love it so much. So that's another one that I really want to buy. The Princess Peach game that Red talked about, that's pretty high on my list as well. Oh, that's so cool that Echoes of Wisdom was your game of the year. Uh,
Yeah, I really do. I'm annoyed that I haven't played it yet, but it's been a bit of a rough year for us financially. So full on like new $60 games have been iffy.
right.
And I've been waiting for his game where you get to play Zelda for so long. And no, the CDI one doesn't count. So
What? What do you mean? No, just kidding.
which
Actually,
one? Which one was that even? Wand of Gamelon? Which Zelda
uh,
CDI
I
game?
think it was Wand of Gamelon.
Okay, yeah, just uh, yeah, the one with "You dare bring light into my lair" at the end. Oh no, it was just called Zelda's Adventure. Apparently, I forgot about that one. Okay.
Oh, I was
oh,
wrong.
oh, interesting. Um, Zane, honestly, like I think that's an interesting hot take, and I'm excited. I'm like so excited now to play Echoes of Wisdom. Oh God, there's too many
Look,
games. That's my
I will say I loved Tears of the Kingdom. It's possibly my favorite Zelda game. Not necessarily because Majora's Mask is great, and Phantom Hourglass also. Everyone can shut up. It's great. Um, but I loved Tears of the Kingdom so much. I really, really loved it. So I will be interested to see how that. I've already read a bit about the way that like some of the design philosophies about the more open-ended gameplay stuff made it into Echoes of Wisdom. So I'm looking forward to playing it.
yeah. It seems like from what I've seen, it feels like the modern Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. That aesthetic, is probably something that's going to be. It seems carrying over in just Zelda period for the time being,
You know,
because it's definitely from the speed run that I watched. Like it's definitely familiar. Uh, but the other game I want to mention, I don't know if I'll get to it this year, but I just heard of it like shortly before it came out. Avowed.
Yep.
I'd never heard of this game. A streamer I like was playing it, and it looks really cool. And I think I'd like to play it. Will I get to it this year? Who knows? But probably not. Um, but uh, just as a quick list, like just games that have been out that I'd like to get to. Hades, would love to get to that. Spec Ops:
No.
The Line, Super Mario RPG, Control, Dark Souls 2, Spiritfarer, and Dream Daddy, among others. So excited to play
Yes.
Dream Daddy.
Excellent.
But yes, Zane, I feel that there's a whole conversation we could have about that, but I feel that.
Yeah, I know not everyone liked Tears of the Kingdom as much as Breath of the Wild. I don't know. It did certain things, like not even better necessarily. It did certain things differently from like a world building and narrative perspective that were like targeted to me personally that I loved a whole lot. So it's not too often that a Zelda game actually engages me in a narrative sense. Honestly, the series in general doesn't seem to have that high ambitions in that regard. I know there are a lot of people who say that like Ocarina of Time is an incredible video game story, and I wish I understood how that could possibly be said about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so for Tears of the Kingdom to do what it did to me on that front, it was impressive, and I loved it. But yeah,
Spiritfarer.
Yeah, Spiritfarer.
Yeah.
I've heard those things, Zane. I will bring
Oh.
tissues.
That's been on my list too. I need to play it.
It
I've been putting it off, I'll fully admit, because I'm going, I do not want to be sad right now.
yeah.
That is the only reason I've been putting it off. Is that I just look at it and it's why I have not watching Freerun. It is the same reason. It's like
Oh, it's
it
so
I
good.
read the manga and I got to a point where I'm
Mm.
like, "Oh, well, this is making me feel emotionally compromised. I'm going to put you down for a minute." And I had to take a
Yeah.
break.
So you haven't read the manga, just watched the anime, but man, it's a good sad kind of like it's not like a heartbroken kind of thing. It's just a very
No,
nice
it's a
sound of
good sad.
melancholic. It's so good.
It's a good Freerun is a good sad, and I really enjoy the manga. I
You know.
just oh, it's gonna break my heart. I
Mhm.
know it because there are parts of Freerun where I see myself and I go, I hate this. Hate this so much.
Yeah, uh
I'm gonna cry when I do Spirit Farrier though, 100%.
Oh yeah, same. I cry in everything. Like Spiritfarer won't even need to try that hard on me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say lately, like it doesn't take much to get me to cry when I'm playing a game. So yeah, I perhaps when I'm feeling the need for a good cry, I'll boot up Spiritfarer. I'll save it for that.
And that
But
does remind me, I've started replaying Clannad this year, so that'll be a fun time.
I
It's
don't,
really good.
what is that? I don't think I know what that is.
Have I not talked to
Oh,
you
that's
about this
oh
before?
god, no. If he's gonna be here all day if he starts.
I'll
Like,
keep it short. So basically, I watched the
I'm
anime
timing
first
you.
because it's a visual novel and there's an anime based on it. And it's basically like, hey, what if it's like, cute little high school romance anime and sometimes it makes you sad and it's pretty good. And then near the end, it's like, okay, now what if it absolutely fucking shatters you?
Oh gosh.
Like into pieces and then the entire like I spent the last it's the anime is 2 seasons long and I spent the last half of the second season just in constant tears. It broke me. It's the reason I cry in things now. I never cried in things before I watched that, and then I did. And it's based on a visual novel, and the visual novel is also pretty fantastic. Like it's Clannad. Sorry, someone asked in the comments.
How do you spell it?
Clannad, Clannad. Be careful. I'm sure if you Google it too much, you're going to come across spoilers in general. But yeah, the visual novel it's based on is also just great. It's very charming, very cute, very emotional. But I haven't really gotten to the incredibly emotional stuff yet in my visual novel playthrough. I will eventually, and I will cry until I die of dehydration, I'm sure. But yeah, it's good.
Okay. Well, cool. On that note, on us talking about games that make us cry, uh, hey, thanks once again for joining me, Red and Sam. As always, this is a pleasure and a joy to do. And look, it's our 5th year doing it. Isn't that crazy?
It is,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's for some reason my brain thought it was the like third that we'd done this like 2 times, and that's definitely
Yeah,
not
same
true.
here.
It, yeah. I mean, we started in 2021, and right, or no, 2020, and it doesn't feel like it, but I guess that part of that has to do with
Yeah.
COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but yeah, just it doesn't feel like it's been 5 years, but you know, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this is always a fun thing to do. So thanks as always for joining me.
Yeah, of
And
course. Always fun to talk about video games with you too.
hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to plug your channels real quick before we sign off?
I mean, at
Well,
this point.
yeah, you go ahead, Red.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Red Angel. Right. Red Angel go have a video essay slash other things video game related and also other things related. Really trying to start the channel back up on producing regular content this year, at least every month or every other month in some cases, because February has been rough. But I please step by. It's Red Angel Ponderings over at YouTube. Check out the Late Night Pondering series.
Do it.
All right, Sam, your turn.
Uh, I'm the game professor on YouTube. If you search Games is Lit 101, you'll find my videos. Mostly like narrative analysis of specific games with like a summary and then deep dive into themes and stuff. Occasionally other things. Uh, I've also been trying to get it back going and having trouble actually making more stuff. But yeah, hopefully some new stuff in the next month or so on that channel. Also on TikTok, though I make less there. We'll see if that changes soon. I'm trying to. And then Bluesky, which that's just kind of the social media thing that I'm on at this point because Twitter exploded.
Mm,
So
yeah.
uh, yeah,
Well, cool. And I guess I'll say this just because it seems like we have a lot of folks from Red side of the pond in the chat. So I'll just say, if you're not familiar with me, I'm Level Story. Also struggling with making content, and lately have been moving toward uh, streaming on Twitch and moving into the Let's Play thing, and possibly dabbling in speedrunning for the time being. So if you're interested in that, you can find me on YouTube at Level Story. If you want to see VODs from this channel or the Let's Plays, you can head over to Level Story Plays, and you can find all of my stuff there. But yeah, with that said, I think we'll be signing off for the evening. So yeah, once again, thanks for joining me, and I guess I'll talk to you all later. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night,
bye.
everybody.
And actually, real quick, I'm gonna quickly play a sound. Hang on.
Oh, a sound.
I don't know if you'll be able to hear it though, but the people watching the stream will be able to hear it.
Oh, you'll have to describe
Au
this to
revoir,
me
Lil
after
Reaper.
this.
Yeah, I will. All right, bye everyone.